and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before. So can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Happy Wednesday to you. It is a Wednesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Yes, we're frozen right now. I love this picture of Anthony looking to grab his phone, and I have no idea what I'm doing over here. I have no idea what I'm doing. But that's a frozen picture of Anthony and yours truly, waiting for the computer to behave itself. We take great still pictures, Anthony.
Yes, we do. I mean,
Yeah.
the candid shots are just
Yeah.
amazing.
You've got a scowl on your face, as if
Yeah.
you just read something over the phone. Perhaps it was the fact that, a retired major league player, two retired major league players are going to be getting a ridiculous amount of money. By the way, happy Bobby Bonilla Day, happy Canada Day, our neighbors to the north celebrating their freedom from England a little bit later on than us, but regardless, I believe they're at 150 plus years. Happy Canada Day, and happy Manny Ramirez Day.
Now, so you got to explain that one.
Yeah, we got to explain this. So here's the thing. Bobby Bonilla, this day is
We
just
all
for
know
him.
Yeah.
A little before midnight, if he had direct deposit, Bobby Bonilla was probably throwing a big old party because every July the 1st or a little before midnight, if you have direct deposit, Bobby Bonilla gets $1,193,248.20 automatically put into his account, and he will get that every July 1st through 2035. If I am still 4 rocks from the sun on planet Earth and not gone, I will be
3 rocks, buddy. Earth,
Mercury,
Venus, Earth.
Venus, Mars. No, that's right. Earth is in front of Mars. All right, 3 rocks from the sun. Never mind. I was obviously failed in science when the planets, all that other stuff. We're the 3rd rock from the sun.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, well, there you go. If I'm the 4th rock from the sun, I'm freezing my ass off right now, but that's neither here nor there. I will be 1 month and 2 days shy of my 71st birthday, the last check that Bobby Bonilla gets. And he'll be 74. Or 73 or 74 when it's all said and done. Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving, and Bobby Bonilla's agent is a friggin' genius.
Absolutely. I mean, I want him to, work with. I need to find him and then hire him to be my agent going forward.
Now, this pales in comparison to one Manny Ramirez, who from here on through 2026, it's also Manny Ramirez Day. Manny this year is getting $2,003,389 from the Boston Red Sox. The amount varies, but he will be getting a ridiculous amount of money. Actually, I take that back. Let me do some research here because that was the 2018 model. 2020, Manny is going to get $2,013,418, and from what I gather, this is going to go up $5,000 and change every single year through 2026. So Manny Ramirez, much like Bobby Bonilla, I want to get his agent, and I would love to sign a long-term deal where after I'm done playing, I'm still getting paid about 10 or 15 years after I'm done doing this.
I'll tell you what, Ron, though. Last night at midnight, I found about 75 cents in my couch cushion, so I'm sitting pretty good, too.
There you go. Hey, 75 cents compared to $1,193,248.20, or $2,013,418 dollars and no
75
cents.
cents richer than anyone that didn't find money in their couch.
This is true.
So
this is very true. Perhaps
in some states, I can still make a phone call.
Perhaps you can take that 75 cents and whatever else money you might have and go down to Mountaineer and bet on the golfer that you're going to be picking today when we have Mr. Tolnar on talking golf. Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek will be on at 1 o'clock, and we'll be talking golf with Brian as the PGA stop goes into Detroit, Rock City, the Detroit Country Club. And I can only imagine what kind of country club that is in the city of Detroit. It should be an awful lot of fun.
Yeah, and I did my research, got my numbers, and I have my pick ready to go for when we talk to Brian at 1 o'clock.
There you go. All right, so we're going to talk a little golf with Brian Tolnar at 1 o'clock. Coming up at 12:15, our B-League Spotlight will focus on Creekside Fitness. Dave Stauffer will be calling in. Creekside getting a victory over Roth Brothers last night in 18U action. 2 games behind Astro Falcons, who won, no big surprise, as they won in 5 innings over, wasn't Nightline, it was Eagleware. Yeah, it was. I always get those two teams
when you're
mixed
doing
up.
so many games a night, those names kind of start to mesh into your brain,
Yeah.
who played who. But yeah, it was Eagleware.
Yeah, Eagleware and walks were the theme in that one. We got a well-pitched game in Game 1 between Prospects and Whiting.
2-1.
Prospects gets the victory on an error by the second baseman.
It's a tough way to lose.
As the infield was in, bases loaded, hard ground ball hit right at him. Ball went right off his glove on into right center field. And it should have been fielded. That's why the error. And Prospects wins the game 2-1. Couple that with Creekside's victory over Roth Brothers, you now have a 3-way tie involving Whiting, Roth Brothers, and Prospects, all bunched up in a 3-way tie for third place, behind Astros and behind Creekside.
And that's an impressive win for Creekside because, as we said last week, Roth Brothers was really hot. They'd won 4 in a row. They were coming on. They were 6-4. They were making a run in the standings. And to beat a team that has a lot of momentum, that's an impressive win. Probably the marquee game of the night. If you looked at the schedule and you had to pick one game of the night that was a marquee game, it was probably that one.
Well, obviously, when Creekside plays Astros, you're 2 games behind the Astro Falcons in the standings. Now, Prospects already has 1 victory over the Astros. Right. So if Creekside wants to at least get a share of the championship in the regular season, they must beat the Astro Falcons, win out, and hope and pray to God some other team beats the Astro Falcons, so each team would have 3 losses.
That'd be wild. A tie at the top for the. Then it would go to runs against and runs scored, and I think Astro Falcons might have the upper hand in that. They've only allowed like 18 runs this year total, so. If they tie, the Astro Falcons might have the tiebreaker. Yeah,
the run differential would be the tiebreaker, and I think the Astro Falcons have that under control right now. One thing that we were told, it's not official yet, but it's pretty close to being official. When the playoffs start, playoffs. When the playoffs in B-League ball start, it is going to be as long as you go. So if it's 7-inning game, takes 4 hours.
You have to do it that way because you can't end in a tie.
Exactly.
And there aren't as many games to try to squeeze into a day because you're cutting the field in half. So you're not going to be playing 6 games a day.
Yeah, if you have one game that lasts 4 hours, wear it. You're going to be playing for 4 hours.
And if it goes 9 or 10 innings, then hey.
Yeah, you're going to play 9 or 10 innings. So
free baseball, man.
There you go. All right, 330-886-0813. The world's worst kept secret was finally unveiled yesterday in baseball. Minor League Baseball no longer, at least for 2020. The 2020 season has been banged. We'll see what happens in 2021. I got news for a lot of people. Major League Baseball, a 60-game season, okay. And we'll do the thing in late July all the way through the end of the season. But minor league baseball, we have a problem. There are a lot of minor league organizations that are owned independently, and those independent owners just lost their entire revenue for 2020. They've lost a ridiculous amount of money. Unless you're able to get a loan from the bank, I would imagine there are going to be a ton of minor league baseball teams for sale from here on out. And I'll be really curious to see who comes back in 2021, because it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of minor league teams file for bankruptcy.
Yeah, and logistically, we knew there was probably no way there was going to be a minor league season this year, long before the official statement came out, because it was going to be too hard to coordinate all that, and with all the things that were going on, we have a phone call, but yeah, I think we all knew, like you said, it was the world's worst kept secret.
All right, let's get to the phone lines. Thanks for waiting. You're on YSNLive.com. What's going on?
Is this Steve?
No, it's not Steve. What's up?
This is Dave Stauffer. Steve Leslie had asked me to call in.
Dave, good hearing from you. Ron Potest on the Wednesday edition of Running Points. Dave Stauffer from Creekside. And Dave, we were just talking about your guys' victory, 18U victory over Roth Brothers. Job well done, considering Roth Brothers was on a 4-game winning streak. You guys did a real nice job last night holding them down.
They got a real nice ball club, and they were right on our heels as we're fighting for the bye in the playoffs, and it was a really good win for us.
All right, you guys are 2 games in back of Astro Falcons in the loss column, and the Astro Falcons have already lost to one team in the league. We were talking a little bit about this, Anthony and I. It seems to me if you guys win out, including the victory over the Astro Falcons, you would still need the Astro Falcons to lose another game, but a victory over the Astro Falcons is paramount if you guys want to try to get the divisional title or at least stay in second place.
Well, unfortunately, Ron, we've lost to the Astros twice.
Okay.
So we've lost the tiebreaker. So we're 2.5 behind them. We would need a ton of help to jump over them. So we really have our sights set on trying to get the number 2 slot, secure the bye, and then take our shot at the first round and hopefully face them again in the finals if that's possible.
Coach, Zach Kelly pitched really well last night for you guys, giving up just 2 runs on 3 hits. Talk about what you saw from him and what kind of performance he had last night.
Well, Zach Kelly threw for us last night. He's from Penn Trafford. He's currently he decommitted from a D2 school, Alderson Broadus, and is weighing his options going forward. He's got good stuff. He mixes in a curveball with his 86 to 88 mile an hour fastball, and he's truly a pitcher that's got a ton of upside. And he was able to use his pitches yesterday and keep Roth off balance. He did a nice job.
A solid victory for you guys. Moving forward, when I was talking to you about the Astro Falcons, I just assumed everyone plays each other, 9 games against 9 different opponents, and then you're playing 9 more games the second go-around. Who do you have left on the schedule? If you played the Astro Falcons twice already, who are you playing twice in the second half of the season, Skip?
We're 11 games in, so we're 60% through our season. We've faced the Astros and Roth Brothers twice already. We still have the prospects and Whiting. We have Dura Edge was rained out, so we have them twice. We still have 7 teams to go through, or 6 truly, with Durridge being twice. So we got our work cut out. The league is very competitive this year. Almost everybody is still eligible for the playoffs. I think they all might be, and truly, anyone can beat anyone else on any given night. The pitching in the league's been fantastic. We're 8-3, but our games have all been tight. Even the ones that we've kind of spread out towards the end have been tight going into the 5th inning. It's a good league. The balance of the league is really better than I've seen in previous years.
You guys have a really solid and a deep offensive lineup. Talk about what it's like coaching these guys and what you see from your offense every night and what the work ethic is to kind of put that deep and solid lineup together.
Well, our lineup is filled with guys either committed to college or have potential to play in college. Some of our underclassmen are not yet committed. We got a really good mix of kids. I took over the team kind of late last year. I didn't agree to it until the fall, and a lot of the local kids were already gone. So we kind of put our attention on some kids in the Pittsburgh or the Beaver area, and we got a few, and then it got contagious, and we got more. We have about 15 different schools represented, and it's a really, really strong group of kids that play well together, and they're all going to be playing in college.
You know, speaking on Western Pennsylvania, yeah, Mercer County, Lawrence County, but you brought up Beaver County. You know, Blackhawk is just across the border. We're located 5 iron from Pennsylvania, so Blackhawk is the first school once you go into Pennsylvania using State Route 14. You also have Beaver Falls High School. Further down the road, Aliquippa, Hopewell. You know, there's some good baseball being played in the corridors of Beaver County.
That's true. We have Brady Hansen from Beaver Falls, and we have Noah Rames from Brighton. We got a couple kids from Moon, and we got some kids from Shaler, some kids from North Allegheny. They really are having a good experience. Some of them have not been exposed to the Youngstown League previously. They've played travel ball. The travel ball, with the uncertainty going on with the pandemic, has allowed us to expose our league to some kids that previously haven't played in the league. And from the reception I've gotten from the parents, they're very, very pleased. They like the organization. They like the facility. They like having a schedule and divisions as opposed to going travel where you play pool play and hope you advance or you're fighting rain. They don't have any of that in Youngstown as it's structured. The cost is much cheaper than travel baseball, and the competition is good. So hopefully this will bode well for us being in those areas, as we really want the best ball players playing in the B League. And I think we're starting to see that this year, as we got a nice mix of local kids with some really talented kids that are college baseball players coming from Western PA and actually coming from the other side of Ohio, like the Akron, Cleveland area. And we have kids coming down from Erie, not on our team, but I've seen some Erie kids in the league. So the product is really good in Youngstown at the moment.
There was so much uncertainty throughout the spring months of whether or not there'd even be summer baseball. So what was it like first game to get that put that uniform on and get to coach these guys and just have the reality set in that you guys were going to have a season?
Well, it was exciting. I mean, everything's different with the virus. Our first game was with the umpire behind the mound. The kids hadn't really seen live pitching in a long time, and the pitching was ahead of the hitting at that time. We're have to be cautious with going to our mouth on the mound and spitting and using the our balls, and they use their balls, and taking temperatures. So it was exciting, but it was different. Time limited. We had time limits on the first 9 games with a hard stop, which was really difficult to accept when you're in the middle of an inning and the game ends. But we got it. We were playing baseball, and we were just happy to be out there. Truthfully, I give all the credit in the league to the officials down at the Youngstown B League. Scotty Rourke and that crew was. They were adamant that we were going to play baseball in Ohio. They were just waiting for the governor to approve that, and once he did, they made it happen. I mean, many leagues have canceled, and they canceled early, and Scott didn't do that, and I really appreciate that, and the kids do too. It's been great, really. It's been great to be out in the ball field in this strange time. Once you're in the dugout, nothing else matters. It's just baseball, and I'm just thankful that we're able to do that.
Dave Stauffer from Creekside Fitness joining us on the B-League Spotlight every Wednesday. Dave, as we look at the 16 and 14U Creekside teams, struggling a bit, especially 16U, Creekside right now 2-5. Not many games have been played 14U-wise, just 4 games, 2 up, 2 down. For Creekside. And even though the record's not really as good as the normal Creekside franchise is, that doesn't mean there isn't talented players on both rosters.
Yeah, they got some players. They're young, and if you look at the scores, I mean they're in every ball game, and baseball's a funny game. Sometimes the ball just doesn't go your way, or the breaks don't go your way. You hit a ball and it gets caught. It happens. But there's talent down there, and they're going to be fine. Zach Tasker's our little B coach. He does a nice job, and he's really worked hard with these kids over the winter. And Mike Terjak does a good job with the younger group too.
What's the personality of your team like? What's it like coaching these guys, and what do they bring to the table?
Well, it's been good. Kids like to play with other good kids. As I mentioned, we got 15 different schools represented, and so a lot of these kids knew of each other, but they didn't know each other. They hadn't been in the dugout with them, and it's been really good, to tell you the truth. We got a nice mix of kids that just all have the same goal. They all work hard. And they're willing to share the field and pick each other up. We got a big roster with the kids coming from out of town. We have to make sure we have enough there on any given night. And there's been nights where we've had 14, 15 kids in the dugout, and it's a challenge. And some of these kids are D1, D2 recruits that are sharing the field with other kids. And it has not been a problem at all. I got kids playing other positions just so we can share the field. We try to stress to them that when you get to college, the more versatile you are, the better it is for you. You may have someone in your position that's hitting and you're hitting, and one of you has to play somewhere else. And if you can be that guy, you might be a catcher that gets some time in the outfield in college, or a first baseman that has to play a little third in college. And they really embrace that. They're all playing at least 2 positions, some even more, and it's been really good. And then the other thing is we've won some games, and winning makes everything better. You just enjoy the game more when you're successful. And the winning, it's not all about winning, but obviously everyone likes to win, and we've had some good success early on. So hopefully we can keep it going.
Hey, Dave, before we let you go, and again, we're speaking with Dave Stauffer from Creekside Fitness, currently 8-3 in the 18U standings, 2 in back of Astro Falcons, as you got 7 games left. Now, there's 3 teams bunched up in a tie for third place, thanks to the Prospects' victory over Whiting in Game 1 of our doubleheader last night on Field 1. You guys knocking off Roth Brothers last night, and that puts Whiting, Roth Brothers, and Prospects in a 3-way tie for third place at 6-5, just 2 games in back of you guys. So down the stretch, those games against Whiting and Prospects and Roth Brothers, if you have to play them one more time, those games are going to be absolutely phenomenal and must-wins for both teams.
They are, and we have both those teams this weekend. We have prospects on Friday. Brett has put together a really nice ball club. They're young. There are a lot of kids that were very successful in the Little B program last year, and they flat out competed with the older kids. That's a good ball club. And Whiting, we play them on Sunday, and I know Frank's put together a good group, primarily from the Nushannock and Newcastle area, and they hit the ball. If you're not ready to pitch and play defense, you're going to be in trouble because they hit the ball over the field. We did beat both of those the first time around, so in a tiebreaker situation, we're not going to lose to them. Hopefully, we can prevail this weekend and put a little more separation between us and them. And like I said, really, getting the 2 seed is the goal. Once the playoffs roll around, that bye is a huge advantage, as teams have to fight to get to you in the second round. And it's something we're shooting for right now. And hopefully it'll happen.
Hey, Dave, all the best to you the rest of the way. Creekside off to a fantastic start, and hopefully you guys continue playing great baseball the final 7 games of the regular season.
Okay. Thanks, Ron.
You got it, sir. Dave Stauffer from Creekside. Anthony, those games this weekend against Whiting and Prospects, if you're Whiting and Prospects, you've already lost to Creekside once this year. That's a must-win. If you want second place, you better dang well win this game this weekend.
Well, like you said, they've already beat the Prospects once, so the tiebreaker, even if Creekside obviously wants to win those games, but if they don't, it's going to be Prospects has to beat them outright. They can't end in a tie with Creekside, and so right now Creekside's sitting in a pretty good spot. They need to win 1 or 2 of those games. They can't drop them both, because then one of those teams could pop right up on them. But I think the really important games as we go on are the ones between those 3, between Prospects and Roth Brothers, between Whiting and Roth Brothers, because when that kind of cloud, when that dust cloud settles and there's not a 3-way tie anymore, which team is going to prevail and come out on top, 3 seed, 4 seed, 5 seed?
Now, you would think that you've got 5 teams in. Barring a complete disaster.
Yeah.
Astros, Creekside, Whiting, Roth Brothers, and Prospects are going to be in the playoffs because they have a pretty comfortable lead over the last half of the league. The 3-way tie for third, 1.5 games better than Dura Edge and Eagleware. Both of those teams are 4-6-1. Nightline is 4-6. Ballistic is 3-8. Avalanche is 3-8. Dura Edge and Eagleware, with that tie, that might come back to haunt both of them.
Yeah, you're right, and it'll be a shame because Dura Edge, they've been down players. Britt Taylor talked about that last week when we talked to him. They lost a couple players late, and they've just been fighting and clawing all season. They've been really competitive. They had a big win over the Prospects after the Prospects beat Astro Falcons. They're a very competitive team. So if they can find a way in the playoffs, I think that's a team down in the lower ranks that can really make some noise.
And again, with the top 2 seeds getting a bye, 3 would play 6, 4 would play 5. I believe it's a best of 3.
Man, if 3-6 is Prospects Dura Edge in a rematch of Dura Edge one hit them, that'd be a very interesting 3 versus 6.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, I believe it's a best of 3 in that scenario, and it's even a best of 3, if I'm not mistaken, in the semis, and then a best of 5 in the finals. So obviously the Astro Falcons are the prohibitive favorites to win the league. But what I saw last night, they can be beatable. It just depends on how well the pitching is.
That's baseball. What you love about baseball is sometimes the team that has the greatest regular season, if you just show up and you're better than them in 2 games,
there you go.
You got it.
You're out the door.
All you got to do. Baseball can be kind of fickle, and that means that sometimes the quote-unquote best teams don't always win.
Not in the best of 3, they don't.
No.
because you can get hot. And again, it is so difficult to put your finger on winning 2 out of the 3 games, because if one of your starters doesn't do his job on the mound and you're behind the 8 ball, it's you lose that game. Let's say you lose game number 1.
When game 1 is super important.
Yeah, game 1 in a best of 3, I would argue, is the most important game, other than the deciding game that would be winner take all. Game 1 in a best of 3 is the most important game,
especially in the god awful way that college baseball and softball used to do things, where if you lost game 1, you had to win a doubleheader on a Saturday to win the series. That just put you in a really bad position. If you lost game 1, you had to win 2 games in a row on the same day. Thankfully, both softball and baseball have righted that change in the supers. Now that's 3 days and 3 games. But that's still tough. It's just a little less tough than having to win a doubleheader.
You go back in time and pick a sport. You go back in time. There's a lot of stupid decisions where you just look at this and go, "How the hell did you guys come up with that?" I'll give you a great example. In 1972, the National Football League was doing their normal playoffs, and at that time you had 3 divisions, and you only had 1 wild card team, and that was it. Cincinnati, no, I take that back. Cleveland had the wild card. Pittsburgh won the AFC Central. Miami won the East, and I want to say Oakland won the West, if I'm not mistaken. Cleveland played Miami because Miami was 14-0. They had a perfect year. Pittsburgh wound up playing Oakland at 3 Rivers, and that was
know what happened there.
that was the immaculate reception that was trapped, and the ball didn't even.
There's no proof of that.
Well,
there's also no proof that the Steelers lineman hit the ball. Like, they didn't have a camera angle that could prove either of the 2 things that would have made that play.
But Phil Villapiano was clipped as Franco was running past him. But
that's
neither here nor there.
That's like the 3rd complaint.
I mean, there's a long list of complaints in that particular game.
You have to go down
that's way down the list on the immaculate reception. So Pittsburgh gets the victory. Miami ekes past Cleveland because Mike Phipps was mistaking Miami Dolphins defenders for Browns receivers that game. He threw like 5 interceptions. So you have the AFC title game. And the Dolphins are 15-0. This game should be in the Orange Bowl. Hell no, it wasn't in the Orange Bowl. It was in 3 Rivers. I mean, that's just stupid.
What? So, like, back, was it because
they rotated the games? They didn't have it where the best team had home field advantage.
So what was the rotation? Because, I mean, they were both home.
Yeah,
in the first round.
In the AFC Championship game, every year it was rotated.
So either the higher seed or the lower seed?
Well, no, it was rotated to, okay, if the AFC East is in this, they get home field.
Oh, so it was your
AFC Central's
division
in this,
got home field.
Yeah, it was rotated. And you're like looking at this going, wait a second. Miami's undefeated. How in the world do you put an undefeated team on the road in the AFC Championship game? And they did. And that's one of the things that is not told
they went and won,
about that game. Yeah, they beat Pittsburgh 21-17 in that game.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, in football, if you're good, you just go and you play and you say, hey, we're the undefeated team. They're putting us on the road. We're going to go kick their butts.
Yeah.
But baseball, that would really suck.
They didn't even have head-to-head back in those days because I think this was Lombardi's 2nd or 3rd championship in the three-peat that he had in 65, 66, and...
So like Super
or
Bowl.
no, yeah, 65, 66, and 67
Super
when he
Bowl
three-peated. I believe it was either 66 or 67. They got swept by the Los Angeles Rams. But Green Bay still won the division. Go figure on that one. I don't understand that one in any way, shape, or form. All right, let's get back at it. Thanks for waiting. You're on YSNLive.com. What's going on? That's you. What's up?
This is Ronnie.
Yeah, man. What's up?
Hello.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you didn't want to wait that long.
Is this Ronnie?
Yeah. Is this Ronnie? Okay. That was interesting.
If it was important, call back.
Yeah. Apparently, it's not important.
Leave a voicemail.
Yeah, leave a voicemail.
So wait. They swept the Rams.
Had the same record.
Ended in a tie.
Swept the Rams, and Green Bay won the division.
Because
I don't know.
Better division record.
I don't know. I mean, they lost to the Rams 2 times when they played them. How the hell do you win the division under that scenario? There were no tiebreaker rules back then. I mean, it's weird.
So what they do? Flip a coin.
I don't know. I have no idea how they did it. I'm looking. There's a great book that I have, and it only goes up to 1990, unfortunately. The National Football League from start to finish. It also includes the All-American Football Conference, and that was the conference the Browns were in from 46 to 49. And it includes the AFL, which all of the teams were swallowed up and then gone into the AFC when they went divisional play.
Shout out to Lamar Hunt.
Indeed. The reason why the AFL now going to the National Football League. And by the way, 2 wins apiece for the AFL and the NFL in the Super Bowls.
Yep, and it was so important that the Jets won Super Bowl III, or else it might have been squashed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the NFL kind of ran away with Super Bowl I. I believe it was pretty much a blowout in Super Bowl II, too.
The Raiders had no chance. That game was over in the national anthem.
If the Jets go up and get smoked, then a lot of people are going to say, what's the point of this?
And they were supposed to get smoked. They were an 18-point underdog, and they wound up winning the ball game 16-7. So,
right.
There you go. All right, 330-886-0813. That is the number to call. We glossed over this yesterday. Minor League Baseball calling it a day, and for the kids,
minors.
Yeah, for the minors, the kids that are not part of the 60-man roster. You've lost a complete year.
Yeah, you're
of
basically
going
to be stuck in the training camp, and you're going to be playing guys that get hurt on rehab. That's pretty much what you're going to be doing.
And that's not good. Let's get to the phone lines. Thanks for waiting. You're on YSNLive.com. What's going on? That's you. What's up?
Hey. Ronnie?
Yeah. Okay. That's good. All right.
The same thing happened.
I have no life. I'm a dumbass. Let me hang up the phone.
It's like, hey, this Ron, and then it's a big loud squeak, and then it's over.
How about this? How about we don't answer the phone to make your day a little bit brighter?
You have this caller right.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, if I don't recognize the number, you're not getting in. Screw you. I mean, seriously. Good God. 330-886-0813, the number to call. Coming up at 1 o'clock, we will hear from Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek as we will preview the Rocket Mortgage Classic from the Detroit Golf Club in Detroit, Michigan. No Jason Kokrak this week. And we'll get with Brian Tolnar about this. Is it a scheduled time off, or
he needs a mental break?
Well, I mean, you missed the cut for two straight weekends, and he had not taken a break yet in terms of golfing.
He missed the cut after 3 weekends ago getting so close and just barely missing a win.
Yep.
And this seems like maybe he just needs a mental break. So it might be a good weekend off for him.
Yeah, this is and I'm surprised that Kokrak isn't golfing, because this would seem to be his kind of golf course. You got 4 par 5s, 4 par 3s. The par 5s are absolutely doable in 2 or 3. And then you have 10 par 4s, and some of them are kind of small par 4s. So it would, at least on paper, it would favor a big hitter, the Detroit Golf Club. So we'll talk with Brian Tolnar about that at 1 o'clock. Scott Knox will be joining us at 2 o'clock. And again, for those that are not on the 60-man roster, your minor league season is over. You're not in training camp. You're not doing anything. You're done for baseball.
Now, what are they doing? I mean, what's the plan for like a rehab assignment if someone gets hurt in this 60-game season?
Hence the reason why you've got 60 players.
Do they have anything going on with even at their spring training facility where they can play interleague scrimmages to rehab a guy or
Nope.
anything? Nope, nothing.
Nothing. Minor league. There's one minor league team one minor league outlet per major league club that is going to be responsible for the minor leaguers in the 60-man roster. So Cleveland has chosen Eastlake as their.
All right.
No, I'm not doing it.
Try
Screw
number
it.
3.
No, I'm not doing it.
Is it the same number?
I'm not doing it. For the 60-man roster, you're going to have the major leaguers, the 40 major league guys, are going to be working out at Progressive Field, and the other 20 are going to be working out in Eastlake, the home of the Lake Erie Captains. Now, the Pirates have their 40-man roster working out at PNC, and the 20 minor leaguers are going to be working out in Altoona, which is about an hour and a half away from Pittsburgh on State Route 22, if I'm not mistaken. So you'll have the other 20 minor leaguers working out in Altoona. And the thought process is, all right, if any of the major leaguers get hurt or, God forbid, they have coronavirus, you have the minor leaguers working out, doing their thing, and they're a phone call away where they can be called up to the major league club. Other than the 20 minor leaguers that are going to be working out, that's it. The rest of minor league baseball is shut down. No spring training facilities are open. They're all closed up in Florida and Arizona because of the outbreak from a week or so ago. So it is completely shut down. And this guy wants to call again. It's the same number. It's not happening.
It's not happening.
It's not happening, bro. Sorry. It's not happening. I'm just not going to do it. You
had 2 chances.
You had 2 chances. You ain't getting a third. That's all there is to it. Unfortunately, and we talked about this, man, if you're an independently owned minor league baseball team, and what I mean by independently owned is if you own a minor league team and not the major league team, you've lost a ridiculous amount of money this year. And unlike Major League Baseball, you don't have a national television contract. Nope. You don't have a multi-million-dollar local radio and local TV contract. Hell, if you can get $40,000 for a full year of putting your games on a radio station, you're accomplishing something. So this is one of those things where if you own a minor league baseball team, you're probably wanting to sell because you're not a big fan of baseball anymore because you just got hosed out of a lot of money.
If you sell, then that baseball team may no longer be in that spot. It could move somewhere else or be something else entirely, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it doesn't have to stay. Like if you sold the Altoona team or whatever, it doesn't have to stay in Altoona. It can go wherever the buyer wants it to take.
Well, I mean, you would have to jump through an awful lot of hoops. My whole thing is, if you wanted to sell, the value of your minor league baseball team is pretty much gone.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't think there's anybody that, unless you know for certain that there's going to be a 2021 season, there is no way I buy a minor league baseball team right now because it just there's no value in it unless you know there's a 2021 season. And I spoke with Dave Lozenak, who's the part owner of the Altoona Curve with his mom and dad. They're in a world of hurt. Now, thankfully for them, they do have a line of credit where they are able to be held on to by the bank. But, I mean, let's be honest. I'm sure that if someone gave them the right price, they'd sell their minor league franchise. Because it's not a very good product right now. This should be fun. Let's get back at it. You're on YSNLive.com. What's up? Yeah, okay, you're out.
You're out.
See ya.
Come on.
Yeah, you're out. Yeah, it's going to be one of those days.
He said I'd be...
Well, this was a different number, and I tried
okay.
giving him a chance, and, it just one of those things. Yeah, that's. Unless there's a number that I recognize, you're not getting on today. I don't play those games. Hello, Ronnie. Let me hang up the phone right now, cause I'm a dumbass. Yeah, you don't get your 15 minutes of fame anymore. So there you go. Good times.
Get off my lawn.
It's not get off my lawn.
Get off my phone line.
Yeah, stop wasting my time. You want to talk sports? Great. If not, go get a life somewhere else. Go hang up on somebody else. Go play in the street, preferably in an interstate where there's a lot of traffic and you get your ass run over. There you go. All right, 3-3.
A really dark place.
Yeah, well, I understand that. It's just, it is what it is.
You called me dark for saying a golfer might be a euphemism for a dump. And you're talking about people going out and getting run over playing in.
I'm not saying that they get run over. I'm just saying go play in traffic on 680. I'm not, you can play Frogger, the wannabe version of the Wednesday edition of Running Point, the wannabe callers edition of Frogger.
Real life Frogger.
Yeah, there you go. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not wishing death or injury on anyone. I just want them to play traffic on 680.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
Hopefully. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right, so we will hear from Scott Knox at 2 o'clock. Scotty was in minor league baseball in the Pirates organization for a couple of years. I feel bad for not only the mom-and-pop owners of minor league baseball teams, because there are minor league baseball teams that are owned by the major league parent club.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for those people. No. Not at all. Because, frankly, you're the reason why minor league baseball isn't being played right now, or one of the reasons. Coronavirus is the main reason, but the other reason is the fact that the owners and the players couldn't come together with an agreement before now, and now that we're in an agreement in late July, there's no sense to play minor league baseball, so there you go. So I have no sympathy for the major league teams that own their minor league franchises. But the minor league clubs that are owned by the mom and pops of the world or the small corporate companies, I'm going to feel bad for those people because you're losing a lot of money. The other aspect of this that needs to be said, you have now stunted the growth of 95% of your minor league system, where they're not playing baseball at all in 2020. You've stunted the growth of that organization, or of all of those players. And I'm talking about 95 to 98% of those players. Only 20 minor leaguers are going to be put into a scenario where they can actually work on their craft in a minor league complex. Other than that, the rest of them, they're home. They're not doing anything baseball related for the organization. And that is going to be a long-term problem for Major League Baseball.
They're not going to be playing minor league baseball, but they're not going to be just sitting on their couch, eating potato chips. And they're going to be working out. They're going to be making sure they're going to do bullpen. They're going to do everything they possibly can without playing live.
But you know as well as I do, there's a huge difference between working out and in a batting cage and doing it in real life in a game time situation. There's a huge difference between the two. So for me, I'm sorry, that is stunning the growth of your minor league system.
Go out and join your local rec league and play some live baseball that way.
Well, interestingly enough,
gather up your friends, play live baseball in your backyard.
Interestingly enough, some of the minor league teams have said, "Hey, if you guys want to go play independent league this summer, go ahead and do it."
If they're letting you do it, absolutely do it. Because nothing substitutes live
absolutely.
Baseball.
And look, if you're going to go play independent league baseball, first of all, how many of the independent leagues are open? Number one. And number two, boy, depending on who you get, your independent league team could be a whole lot more fun to watch. Not that independent league baseball is bad. Look, I spent the first 4 years doing independent league ball, and I've often said independent league ball is somewhere between low A and high A baseball.
Trying again.
Not going to happen.
God bless him, he's trying.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let's have some fun. You're on YSNLive.com. What's up? Yeah, that's you. What's up?
Are you there?
Hello.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey.
Ronnie.
Yeah, you gonna hang up? Yeah, of course you are. Of course you are. Yeah, it's getting old. So, yeah, good times. That's good stuff right there. Yeah, I don't think people realize that we have a caller ID, and that I mean, we can look and see what the numbers are. So, that's all right.
Is this Ronnie?
Is this Rodney? I'm gonna hang up the phone again. Yeah, that's good. That's. I think somewhere maybe 2 or 3 people might be getting a chuckle out of it, and then that's it. So there you go.
I bet it's Steve Leslie.
Nah, it's not
He's
his
sitting in
number.
the corner.
Yeah.
No, he's using someone else's.
Oh, I'm sure someone else's
Yep.
phone is
Yep.
being used.
Yep.
And then the loser's probably like, oh, wait a second, he's got caller ID. Hey, loser, give me your phone so I can call this guy up and hang up on him because it's funny. Yeah, okay. That's nice. The joke's on all of you. I'm not taking another call the rest of the afternoon. Screw you people. Unless, of course, I recognize the number for someone who's actually, bright enough to call and not hang up.
Oh.
Yeah, so there you go. Unknown name. Yeah,
Oh,
like
jeez.
I'm really going to be answering the phone for an unknown name. Yeah, get out of here. You go play in traffic on 680. 330-886-0813. Apparently that's the number to say, hey, Ronnie, and hang up the phone.
Right?
It just is what it is. Wonderful day today. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. Maybe it's these people that are trying to figure out another unknown name.
They're going at it.
Yeah. Whoa, they're really having some fun here. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Not giving you the time of day. Your 15 minutes of fame are up. Lordy. Brian Tolnar will be joining us at 1 o'clock. I'll be
Thank
calling
God
him.
no one can call.
And no
while we're
one
talking
can
to
call
Brian.
in while we're talking with Brian Tolnar because, well, that's always good. And then Scott Knox will be calling up at 2 o'clock. And hopefully, Knoxy has a phone number where it's clear that it's his name. Otherwise,
We might be in trouble.
We might be in a little bit of trouble. Actually, I have his number, so we can call him. So there you go. For the rest of you, unless I'm recognizing the number, you ain't getting in today because, I just, we're not gonna continue to play loser phone in conversations. So there you go. It's a Wednesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Speaking of, you think it's those clowns over there that are doing that to me?
No, I got that. I had it done.
Okay, yeah. DJ's was smiling, and I kind of wondered if it was you that was doing that.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
We had a couple yesterday. You saw.
Yeah.
All in good fun. These, I just got back. Are these funny or are they just call
No, they're just saying hi, Ronnie, and they hang up.
Is this Ronnie? And then that's all you hear.
Yeah, and now they're hanging up. So I don't answer the phone the rest of the afternoon.
Well, I picked up the last one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and he asked who it was, and I said, this is DJ. Can I help you? And hung up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that's
Like-
the 15 minutes of fame from the losers are now up. Go play in traffic on 680 and stop being a
That's what I
douchebag.
said.
There you go.
What
That's
is
what
wrong with
I-
listen?
What is
wrong with
wrong
me?
with you?
Listen, you
There's
came
nothing wrong with
You
me.
came in loaded, full of. I can't wait for somebody to call in. I got something for him. And now-
Exactly.
did you give it to him?
They're hanging up the phone, so obviously I'm just going to say go play in traffic on 680. Do the human version of Frogger. The Wednesday edition of Running Point,
Listen,
Frogger
you have this
edition.
Hawaiian shirt on. You're supposed
I
to
do.
be nice and flowy.
Oh, I was. I mean, they're
and
nice,
easy.
laid back, and nice, calm, and then you got losers that are, hello, Ronnie, and then hang up the phone. Okay, whatever. Like I said, go
I got
play
your
in
back.
traffic.
We have all of the last one, if you saw, came up unknown caller.
Oh, of course,
So-
because I told them, and we got caller ID.
We do. There's like 6 numbers in here,
Yeah.
and we're gonna call them all.
Exactly. We'll have some fun.
And I can't wait because we have a little bit of a technology that we can, if any of them are cell phones, we can spam them with text messages for 24 hours. So this is how we play ball. Like,
Either that, or we get the officer from East Palestine that called up and get him to pay him some money and get him to scare the bejesus out of some people.
they're probably watching, so naturally now
Yeah.
they know.
Well,
that it
now
means
they know
nothing.
what's going on, of course.
But so keep the powder dry, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
but what I'm gonna do is you're gonna know that when you get spam in your cell phone, it's coming from us. So enjoy that. Like, we have no problem with prank calls as long as they're fun, as long as they're cool.
I mean, as long as they're good and you're not going, hey, Ronnie, hang up the phone. I mean, okay, the first time, all right, kind of cute. Second time, get some new material. The third time, go play in traffic on
Well,
680.
it's like when a pitcher throws over to first like 6 times in a
Yeah.
row. Turn the page.
Yeah.
Turn the page.
He's not going anywhere. You
Yeah.
just either go to the plate or get off the mound and let someone else pitch.
Yeah, turn the page, kid.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get on with the game. So, hasn't called since I picked up the phone. Not that mean that they won't call again, but I think that it's probably somebody we know. It's not Steve. It's not Steve. And how dare you, by the way?
You called them out yesterday.
Well, I can.
I can't.
But he also called me back out and he said easy. So I said, okay, Steve. Also, I think Steve wouldn't understand how to do a
I know.
prank
I just
prank
like
call
to-
because he would call in and it would show Leslie Steven on
Yeah,
the,
you'd have to use someone else's phone.
Yeah, and this one, well, hell, let's do it since it's fun. Maybe somebody out there wants to prank call some other people. So if you got a pen and paper, we'll give you some phone numbers.
Wow! Oh, wow! This is okay. Now we've gone a little too far here.
Here's-
I thought playing traffic on 680 was borderline.
Let's see, 1249. So that was wireless caller. The phone number 234
234
575
575
3723.
3723. So 234 575 3723. Call them up and tell them, hey, this is Ron. Click. Hang up.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any legit calls yet today? Other than
Not really.
Mr.
Other
Coach
than,
Stauffer?
Other than Mr. Stauffer, not really.
and that was right at the top of the show, right?
Yeah, it was about 12:15.
Man, you fielded some calls then, huh?
Yeah, we didn't field any after the, I saw the first caller and I was like, oh, repeat? No, I don't think so.
This is interesting. We got a bunch of different names in here. So, yeah, we'll do some. Maybe we'll release one an hour for the rest of the show.
There you go.
Or a couple an hour on our social media page, and you
Yeah,
can
there you
give
go.
them a call.
Yeah, give them a call and just let them know that you just wanted to say hello, caller. Click.
Or you can text them or sign them up for different mail alerts. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things that we could do.
Or better yet, order a pizza and say it was this phone number.
I don't think that's how it works, Ron.
No, I know it doesn't work. I mean, you're trying to screw the pizza place. Actually, the prank caller that you got, what was the guy's name?
Tony's Pizza.
Tony's Pizza.
Vince from Tony's Pizza.
Yeah, Vince from Tony's Pizza. Yeah.
coming for you.
So there
Vince,
you
you son of a bitch. I'm still looking for you.
go. Yeah. Who would want to eat Tony's Pizza? I mean,
Hey.
Tony's Pizza in Latonia was phenomenal. It's out of business now.
Nothing about the name Tony means bad pizza. Let's
No, Tony's Pizza in Latonia was phenomenal.
Vince got a little upset on the phone yesterday. That's what it was.
I mean, hey,
He was getting aggressive. He's like, well, you want to get another credit card or you want to pay for cash? How are we going to do this? And I'm
Yeah,
like,
he had that New York accent, so I was like, hey, forget about it. I ain't going to pay for your freaking pizza.
Oh, it took me a minute. And I'm like, okay, this guy could be it could be a wrong number.
Yeah.
And somebody attached our number to it, which I thought would be interesting. But then I'm starting to think, like, okay, this guy's not giving me any straight answers.
Right.
No.
And then, like, looking at Richie was the best because Richie laughs. His laugh makes me laugh. So I'm watching Tristan's face, and Tristan's kind of getting into it, and everybody's like gets defensive, and I'm like, oh, okay, I think we're getting ribbed here. So the second one was terrible. The second one was god awful, but it was funny
Yeah.
because it was a girl trying to say that we were showing pictures on Facebook of ourselves.
Did you contact my boyfriend?
Did you contact my boyfriend? I see you sending messages to my boyfriend. You think he's attracted to you? Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a handsome guy, but I don't play that way. Sorry.
You play Dusty Rhodes.
Back
coming
to
up.
Dream Dusty Roads.
I can't wait.
We're going to take a time out. We got Brian Tolnar coming up in just a bit. Yeah, we're actually going to have someone who doesn't say, "And you're Rodney," and hang up the phone
Wouldn't
like a
you
loser.
shit if he did that, though?
Well, that's true. That would be kind of cool if he did that. Brian Tolnar coming up next. It is the Wednesday edition of Running Point. Ron Potesta with you, Click. Back in a bit. Stick around.
21
Good evening,
News.
and thank you for joining us.
Let's get right to our top
More
story
experienced
tonight.
reporters
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
telling more local stories
We'll look at
Baby
efforts
boy
to
is
curb
recovering from a broken.
around our
Good
valley
Community in
afternoon.
Niles,
We are
one
here in
Triangle Valley
Youngstown, right
business.
because you expect
important for everyone.
No place like home.
more local news.
Then Mercer County
Before
Court
they become life-threatening.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. It's Wednesday, it's 1 o'clock. It's time to bring in Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek as we are going to talk PGA Tour. Brian, what's going on, brother?
Oh, not too much. Just gearing up, getting ready for the 4th of July weekend here at Mill Creek. It's starting to get exciting. We got about 14 days of upper 80s and lower 90s, and from a weather standpoint, that's as good as it gets for the golf industry.
Hey, before we even get into the Rocket Mortgage Classic from the Detroit Golf Club in Rock City, Detroit, Michigan, let's talk a little bit about Mill Creek because, as you mentioned, going to be plenty of hot weather, beautiful sunshine the rest of this week and into the holiday weekend. A lot of watering going on during the course of the day, or do you guys just water before the day starts and after the day ends?
Well, we try to do a little bit of both. Early morning is probably the most important time before the golfers head out there. We do, when it kicks up, start watering in the afternoon when the temperatures start to max out. And then again, we cap off the night by getting them a little bit of water, a little bit of liquid towards about the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock hour, somewhere in that vicinity, just to cool the ground down, keep the grass nice and green. Keep the fairways in good shape, keep the greens in excellent condition, and the tee boxes as well. So it's certainly a double-edged sword. You know, when I came into the golf business several years ago, it comes down to the golf professional likes to put as many people out on the golf course as he can, and the superintendent likes to keep as many people off the nice manicured grass as much as he can. So we do a good job of both with the staff that we have here, and we try to do our best in between. So if you do see some sprinkler heads on in the middle of the afternoon, we're just basically syringing the grass to make sure that it stays alive and stays viable and can be played on another day.
Brian, to give everyone an opportunity to let you know and let everyone know how hard the maintenance workers on the golf course works, how early do they come in on a normal golf day?
They're usually here during the week, 4:30, 5 o'clock. Weekends, it's 4 to 4:30, getting ready to go, getting all the greens cut. Really have to have the golf course maintained and prepared by about 6 o'clock in the morning, so it gives them some time to do that. We certainly bring in a full complement of staff One thing that's unusual about here, because we do have the 4.9s, we have basically 4 pieces of equipment that go out. In other courses, like they may have 2 guys cut greens or 1 guy cut all 18 holes. We actually, the way that we're structured and set up, we have 4 guys go out there and cut greens, so we have them done, so we can send people off the front and back as it comes to the weekends and weekdays. We try to maximize as much as we can, getting everybody out there at every possible minute of the day that there is golfing sunlight. But from a perspective from the maintenance crew, the guys work extremely hard. Their days start, very early in the morning before sunlight. And the majority of them are seasonals. Will go home around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But the full-time staff, which is our 2 superintendents and our 2 mechanics, they'll be here helping with the watering throughout the course of the day. So it's a ongoing process to keep the conditions the way we like to have them here, and no different than any other facility in the Mahoning Valley or in the state of Ohio. But our guys work their tails off. There's no question about it, and they're the reason that we have a product that people can go out and play. I tell everybody everything here is really just icing on the cake when it comes to selling merchandise or the food and beverage aspect of our golf operation. If you don't have a good golf product, they're not going to partake in the other ancillary items along the line.
How busy are you expecting the 4th of July weekend to be coming up in a couple of days?
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got tee times from starting at 6 something in the morning, going all the way till about 6:21 in the evening. So we'll continue that through this weekend. The month of June was probably the best month that we've had in the 6 years that I've been here. So people have gotten the urge to play golf, and the participants that played a couple times a year are starting to play once a week again, back like they did in the early 80s and late 90s when golf was really thriving and booming. And we're hoping that everybody sticks with it. No different here than at our par 3 course as well. We're seeing numbers down there double what they normally would be through this course of the year. So we're hopeful that continues through July, through the month of August, and then heading into the fall when we're allowed to bring back some of our golf outings and things of that nature. Right now, we're still on hold for golf outings. So we've got a lot of juggling from the front end of our schedule to the back end, but I mean, it's a packed facility, and tee times are starting to disappear relatively quickly. So if you have an opportunity to get out and get anything booked, please call or please book it online because they're going fast.
Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek joining us every Wednesday at this time to talk about Mill Creek. And, boy, it does not get much better than Mill Creek. You got 2 18-hole courses, the North Course, the South Course. You got a 9-hole course. You got a practice facility. You've got an unbelievably nice snack bar, and you've got the merchandise. Anything that a golfer needs, you can go into the merchandise store and pick up whatever you need, and it's just your one-stop place to golf, to eat, and to put some stuff in your golf bag that you need, whether it be tees, golf balls, maybe even a towel, especially when you consider the temperature is going to be in the high 80s, low 90s through much of the holiday weekend. Brian, let's get into the upcoming PGA tournament event, the Rocket Mortgage Classic from the Detroit Golf Club in Detroit, Michigan. Right off the top of the bat, no Jason Kokrak, as Jason's going to take the weekend off. And I'm curious if this has anything to do with the back-to-back cuts or if this was one of those scheduled weekends off, because Jason had been playing golf from the start of the resumption of the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I think it's probably more of the latter there. A lot of the guys have been on tour on the road for the past 3 weeks. So, 4th of July holiday this weekend, you'll see a lot of the bigger names sort of spend some time and spend a week or two with their family before coming back out on the PGA Tour. So I'm not so sure that, it was anything that was sort of unplanned. Obviously you want to go into taking a break, obviously not missing 2 cuts like he did, but anytime that you get the opportunity to come home, spend some time with family, it's 3 weeks on the tour, traveling, eating out, trying to stay safe from the COVID, staying at hotels, and playing in tournaments under high pressure. I think sort of wears you out at times. So very few guys on the PGA Tour will stay out there for more than probably 3 weeks at a time. That's probably their max. Some of the players like the Tigers and Phil are usually like 2 on, 2 off, 2 on, 2 off, depending upon what part of the schedule it is. So I probably wouldn't read too much into it, other than, hopefully he goes home and practices a little bit and comes back out strong.
With the spike of COVID cases, clearly the PGA Tour is making sure that when the golfers come to the facilities before the first round, everyone's getting their temperature checked, everyone's being tested, and if you test positive, you get sent home. It's a different world, Brian, and obviously with no fans, that's another aspect that makes the PGA Tour a little different than what we normally expect in a normal year.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and I think there's a number of things that come into the scenarios that play out when it comes to the COVID ordeal. I mean, you look at the caddies. I mean, we laugh and we joke. The caddies are hanging out at bars and restaurants and stuff when they're not caddying for their players. So I think that they're more susceptible, and I think that that's why you see them picking up, obviously the COVID-19 as opposed to some of the players. So I mean, they're close in junction with the players. So they want to make sure if your caddy tests positive, you're not going to play that week. And most of the guys have done that, and players as well. We've seen the case with Nick Watney testing positive a couple weeks back and immediately got sent home. You got the volunteers at the tournament. You've got the tournament staff, basically, that you're coming in contact with. I mean, yeah, it's nice not to have the spectators there because that just increases the opportunity for those folks to catch the COVID-19. But I mean, from a player's perspective, it's certainly different than what they're accustomed to, especially the ones that live off the gallery and the momentum, of the positive cheering and the things like that. But I mean, there's so many areas that you could catch it, whether it's traveling on a plane, whether it's in your hotel, whether it's at the restaurants that you eat, whether it's the people that came in contact with your caddy, the volunteers at the tournament, they're still there. Maybe not in the large numbers that you normally see, but at a smaller rate. But there's still multiple people at these events. And if you watched any of the stuff on tour the last 3 weeks, there definitely are rules officials. There's definitely our tournament staff out. You see a lot of bodies around there that are not just there as a spectator.
Hey, Brian, let's talk about this golf course. It's a par 72. There are 4 par 5 holes, 4 par 3 holes, 10 par 4 holes. A lot of those par 4s very reachable in 1 or 2. There's a couple of long par 3s, doable par 5s. You would think that the heavy hitter would be pretty much a go in this upcoming weekend, assuming that you can accurately hit the ball far.
Yeah, certainly length is going to be paramount this week. It comes in under 7,000 yards, measuring at I want to say it's like 69 and some change. Donald Ross Golf Facility, similar to here at Mill Creek. They have 2 golf courses, a north and a south. Ironically, theirs was made built in 1899 by Donald Ross. His brother was the head professional there for about 30 plus years. Another head professional there named Horton Smith. And if you know much about the PGA of America, he's one of our awards that we give out, which is the Horton Smith Award. So very legendary club professional. I think he was there for probably north of 50 years. So just a really unique facility built by a gentleman named Bill Ferrand and some of his friends. They basically started the golf course as a 6-hole course, and then they commissioned Donald Ross to come in and turn it into a 36-hole property. So very similar to what happened here at Mill Creek, just from a player's design standpoint. So you're going to see a lot of similarities if you've played Mill Creek here and what you see on television. A lot of holes that come to mind. Obviously here we've got some challenging par 3s, and we've got some what I call layup par 3s. Some of them are shorter, and you've got one that measures in at 160 and 167 this week. And then you have 2 kind of monster par 3s for them at 207 and 233. So very similar design when he came here in the 20s to design Mill Creek. And you're also going to see a lot of holes that you have to, what I call carve it around bends, and you have to work the ball right to left or left to right, because there's some dog legs that are similar to, if you look at the South course here, 15 and 16, where you have to work the ball right to left or left to right. And then there's some healthy par fours as well, north of 400 yards. So I think the player certainly that has the advantage this week is the person that could bomb it and the person that can work the ball on the holes that you have to get it close to some of those greens. Now, all the par fives are certainly reachable, I would say, by about 95% of the players in the field this week. In true Donald Ross fashion, a lot of the greens are sloped from back to front, so the player that can hit it underneath the pin to give them that uphill putt, an easy opportunity, I think will score well this week. Last year, 25 under was our total for Nate Lashley, who won it by 6 shots. And I think you'll see something north of 20 under par this week, because it is gettable, and this is their second year that they've played Detroit Golf Club in a PGA Tour event, last year being their first year of the Rocket Mortgage. So I think, certainly guys that can place the ball well and guys that have a relatively good short game. To miss this week, similar to Mill Creek, you always want to be short, and you always want to be hitting into the green from the front. If you miss it long, you miss it left or right, it's a more challenging up and down. So I think you're going to see that this week with the way the greens are contoured and the way the greens are sloped as well.
Like every week, we're going to ask you what your Power 5 is and who you think has the best chance to take away the win this weekend.
Well, my Power 5 starts off with Patrick Reed. He's coming off a fifth-place finish there in 2019, so he's familiar with the golf course up there in Detroit. He finished with a 64 on Sunday at the Travelers. He's certainly a putting wizard. He knows how to get the putter hot, and I think that this course sets up well for him. He certainly has the length to do it, and I think if he putts well, he'll be in that mix. Ricky Fowler is going to come in at number 2 this week. Always plays Donald Ross facilities well. If you think of his record at Pinehurst and Sedgefield, he's always done well there, and I think he'll continue to do well going up to the Rocket Mortgage event, in which he's sponsored by, so they expect a lot out of him this week from a sponsor standpoint. Webb Simpson, 2-time winner this year. He's at the top of his game. I certainly think he has all the tools to play well there. Bryson DeChambeau comes in at our 4th spot this week. He's a top 10 machine in 2020. He's got 6 in a row in the top 10. Keeps knocking at the door, just can't seem to break through, can't seem to get 4 rounds. He's gotten 3 of the 4 rounds together pretty much all year. He just needs that 4th round to come in at a couple under par as opposed to even or a shot or 2 over. So I think he's going to be solid this week. Victor Hovland's another one of those guys. He's a top 15 finish at the Travelers last week. He's playing extremely well. He's got 3 top 25s this year, made his professional debut there last year. So I think he can run off of some of the excitement and how well he played there last year. Couple sleepers this week. Doc Redmond, he was the runner-up last year at 20 or 21 under par, just behind Nate Lashley. Bubba Watson, who's going to be featured in the charity game that they're playing today. They do a little charity challenge there on the Wednesday of the Rocket Mortgage, so I think he'll get an extra couple reps there, getting ready for that. Another international player, Sungjae Im, hits the ball probably better than anybody from tee to green on the PGA Tour. He's looking for his 2nd win. He won last year, so I think he'll be in the mix this week. And there's a couple other guys that I think will have good weeks. Brant Snedeker, he doesn't necessarily bomb it off the tee, but he hits good iron shots, and you really have to be a good iron player to keep it underneath the pin. Luke Donald's another one of those guys. Bronson Burgoon, one of those younger guys that have been coming up, and another kid by Dominic Bozzelli. Spent some time with him in Rochester when I was up there. He won our Tournament of Champions at the Blue Heron Hills, which is a course that I oversaw up in Rochester, New York. He's had a pretty good journeyman career on the PGA Tour for the last year or two. Was a member at Oak Hill up there, which is another Donald Ross design, and I think he plays those facilities well. So I tend to think that he would be in the mix this week as well.
Brian Tolnar from the Mill Creek joining us. You brought up something really interesting, and while fans love to watch the 4 rounds of golf in a particular stop on the PGA Tour, the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday prior to the start of the 4 rounds, those are important days as well. I would venture to say those are extremely important days for the PR side and to keep the PGA PR friendly.
Absolutely. The players usually arrive, late in the evening on Mondays. Some will arrive there, depending if they missed a cut the week before, early on Monday. They'll have some opportunities to play some practice rounds Monday, Tuesday, sometimes on Wednesdays, depending if there is or isn't a Pro-Am. A lot of the players will end up playing in a Pro-Am on Wednesday with patrons that, put up the prize money for the events to get out there, similar to what they did here when we had the LPGA at Avalon Lakes and Squaw Creek. So it's a good way for the locals to get to intermingle with the players. But definitely from a press conference standpoint, getting people prepared, some of these events, like in a couple weeks when we go to the Memorial and Jack Nicklaus's tournament, he runs, I think, 2 or 3 groups. They go out and play a skins game on Wednesday, so they do some unique things. And it gives the players some opportunity to get some extra reps, when they're in the midst of preparing for the tournament. Gives them opportunity for their caddies to get on ground, do the site work that's necessary and needed. So, you don't see that side when it comes to being on television. Whether it's tournament setup, tournament prep, caddies getting on the ground, getting prepared for the week, getting their numbers for their players. So I think that it's certainly unique, and it's definitely an important part. It's just like taking a test. I would equate it to. You can cram as much as you want a day or two in advance. You're not going to do as well as if you started studying a couple days in advance and put in the time and put in the effort to get the correct questions on a test. So it's very similar to how these guys prepare and be ready. There's no substitution for being prepared, and I think that the players and the caddies that get there early certainly have an advantage.
Brian, I'm going to try to go 2 for 2 because I got Dustin Johnson right last weekend, so I'm going to try to go 2 for 2 this week. I really liked Ricky Fowler, but the more I looked at it, I'm going to go with Hideki Matsuyama. What do you think of his chances, and do you think I have a good chance of going 2 for 2 this weekend?
Well, I think he's definitely in the mix, and he was borderline being in my 5th, 6th spot. And, the reason I didn't choose him over Victor Hovland is obviously he started his career there, so he's, from that area, so he plays well there. But I think Hideki Matsuyama, drives it very accurately. He doesn't have the super length, but he doesn't really need it on some of the holes this week. It's going to be accuracy off the tee. If he has a good week hitting his irons, he's definitely one of the guys that'll be in the top 10 this week, if not have a shot to win it. I go to all these tournaments, and I see about probably 20 players that have a legitimate chance in being there on Sunday, and he's definitely in that group of 20 players.
All right, Brian, we have you down for Patrick Reed because he was your number 1 golfer in your Power 5. I'm going way off the board here. I really like Tyrrell Hatton in this weekend because the course seems to fit him really well. Am I off base on this pick?
No, he's in that mix. He's in that 20 group of players of playing well there. I think he hits it, just like Hideki. Not quite as lengthy off the tee, but they're very similar in game where they hit a lot of fairways. They keep it in play. They don't put themselves out of contention or out of being able to hit the green in 2 and give themselves an opportunity to make a putt. So he's definitely in that wheelhouse as well.
All right, now it's time for what I'm really looking forward to. Every single Wednesday when we speak to you, we get some words of wisdom. And let's just say that I've written down all the words of wisdom, and I'm going to be writing down some more words of wisdom. Your tip of the week. Go, Mr. Tolnar.
Tip of the week this week is if you're having trouble off the tee and you find yourself in a fairway bunker. If you're in a fairway bunker, the first thing that you want to take out of the equation, and it's one of the things that we see as golf professionals teaching the shot, is people are just fearful of driving it in a fairway bunker. And I think if you set up the right way and you use the right techniques, it's no different than hitting a shot from out in the middle of the fairway. So the first thing that you want to think of is if you're in a fairway bunker and you have a normal lie, normally the fairway bunkers are a little bit firmer, so the ball has a tendency of sitting up. It doesn't really have the ability to plug like you would see at a greenside bunker that goes through a lot more hits and a lot more traffic on foot. So what you'll find is the ball will sit up. You want to make sure that your feet are just slightly into the sand. So you don't want to, last week we talked about a greenside bunker where you wanted to make sure that your feet had the depth of where the lower part of the golf ball was. So you really had to get your feet, into the sand if the ball, to reach the bottom part of the ball. A little bit less of that when you hit the fairway bunker, but you want to make sure that your feet are stable. The key is, in a fairway bunker, you want to have a nice, stable lower body. So ball position is another important factor. We want to make sure we move whatever club that you choose that you'd be hitting. We'll say we're hitting a 150-yard shot. For me, that's an 8-iron. So I would move the ball position from my normal spot, which would be close to middle with my 8-iron, to about an inch behind. So it's going to go more towards your back foot with the 8-iron. The last most important and critical thing is we want to choke down on the iron shot. So we want to choke down about an inch. Before, when we were in a greenside bunker, we used the sand to get the ball out and limit the distance that we wanted it to go. Here we want to make sure that our first contact is as close to the golf ball as possible. You're still going to hit some sand, but we want to make sure our first connection is with the golf ball. By choking up on the club, this will allow the club to hit the golf ball first, and by having the ball position further back, it's going to allow the golf ball to be hit first. So that's very important. You want to keep the lower body stable through the shot. It's more of an upper body swing, kind of like how your swing was when you're in the greenside bunker. And we want to make sure we go through the golf ball first. Now, your club can hit the sand when you're coming through after it makes contact with the golf ball. Again, we want that full finish, and we want to make sure that we finish with our hands nice and high, probably about head level over your shoulder when you finish. And I think if you do those things, especially from a setup standpoint, moving the ball about an inch back than you normally play that club. In my case, it was an 8-iron. Choke down on the club, make sure your lower body is nice and stable, and make your basically normal golf swing. We talked a little bit about being steep when we were in the greenside bunker last week. We want to make our normal golf swing, normal turn, where your shoulder comes underneath your chin a little bit more. That's the angle of attack that we want to hit. But choking down on the club, making first contact with the golf ball is vitally important in making sure that it hits it clean. I always think of these shots of, I want to hit it clean, or I want to hit it just a groove low on the club face where it comes off more of a bladed feeling. So that's the tendency and what I'm thinking about when I'm hitting that shot.
Brian, what is the perfect club to use when you're in a fairway bunker? Because I know some folks, depending on how far away the fairway bunker is from the green, some folks are going to want to pull out a 3 or a 4-iron. Is that a little too much, or is there a golf club that is a higher percentage of working?
Well, I look at it this way. The first thing that you want to judge anytime that you hit it in a bunker, whether it be a fairway or greenside, is number one, the lie has to be good. The ball has to be sitting up for you to hit a really accurate shot. Number two, what do I have to go over? Do I have a big bunker lip in front of me where I have to really elevate the ball out? Because that's going to really dictate the club selection. If I have a normal fairway bunker that's maybe has a lip of 6 inches to a foot, I'm thinking whatever club that I hit, whatever the distance is, can certainly be the club that you want to choose. And in some cases, it could be a 4-iron, a 5-iron, or a 3-iron, depending if you can get it over the lip. Now, if you're 250 yards out, you definitely don't want to take a hybrid out of there. You definitely don't want to take a fairway wood, because you need that leading edge of an iron to get you out. So you're going to take a club knowing that it's going to take you 2 shots to get on. Realistically, you would take a club that gets you probably halfway there, a little bit more than halfway there. So you'll pick a club that's more user-friendly, that's going to guarantee that you hit it over the lip that you have to, that if the lie's good, you're going to give yourself the opportunity to strike when the iron's hot on your next shot. So it's all about playing the percentages, making sure that it's a distance that you can comfortably hit there. If it's not a comfortable distance for you, that's when you want to take a club or 2 less and just get it maybe in front of the green in front of the green may be a good opportunity to get it up and down, as opposed to trying to hit. Like, say if I'm 200 yards and my club for 200 yards is a 4-iron. If I don't feel comfortable about getting it over the lip, I want to give myself the next best option of getting it close to where I think I can get it up and down. So maybe I take a 6-iron or 7-iron, I hit it to a spot or a yardage that I feel comfortable with, that I can knock it on the green, give myself a putt, or knock it inside 5 or 10 feet. It's all about how much risk that you want to take on. Certainly I could hit a 4-iron from that yardage in a bunker, but I have to hit it perfect if I have to carry it over a lip. So then you bring in the opportunity of, does it hit the lip? It go 10 or 15 feet. Now I've got 180 yards into the green, and it's not more realistic than having 50 yards or 20 yards of a pitch shot where I think I have the opportunity to get up and down. It all comes down to percentages. If you stand in there and you say, out of 10 shots, can I get this 4-iron there? How many times can I get the 4-iron hit perfect out of that bunker? And it may be 1 out of 10. Well, that's when you know, hey, I'm going to grab a 6, I'm going to grab a 7, guarantee that I get out, guarantee that I get over the bunker lip or whatever the trouble is in front of me. You may have to go over water. Maybe you want to lay up in that case. But those are all variables in dissecting the golf course all the way around. I call the game of golf damage control, and it's the people who can eliminate the most damage. Instead of making an 8, turn that into a 6. Instead of making a 6, turn that into a 4, are the best players that play out there. And I think that's one of the things that, when you watch it on television, there's sometimes guys punch out to that 100-yard marker and get it up and down from 100 yards and out instead of trying to hit it over 4 rows of trees and hit the miracle shot. Now, it's fun to hit those when you're out playing and practicing with your buddies, but under the gun of a competition, or if you're in a tournament here locally, may not be the alternative of a shot that you want to hit because it increases the score at the end of the day.
Yeah, high risk, high reward is good if you want to screw around on a golf course and you're not taking it seriously, but high risk, high reward in let's say a foursome where you guys are being very competitive and the top scorer wins an oodle of money, you don't want to be high risk, high reward in that case.
No, I think you just want to play it smart. Give yourself the best opportunity, and that goes from hitting from a simple pitch shot into a green. If I'm 10 yards off the green and I got a green that's very severe from back to front, much like how the greens are here, I'd rather be 5 feet underneath the hole having that straight uphill putt as opposed to having a 3 or 5 footer on the opposite side where I just got to touch it and it's going to take a lot of break and it may not go in. So, being a little bit closer past the hole, certainly you're thinking of a 3-footer that breaks 2 or 3 inches coming down a hill, a lot harder of a shot than having a 5-footer straight up the hill that all you got to do is hit it to get it there. So, I mean, it goes the same way from what club selection do I want off the tee, what club selection do I want from that fairway bunker into the hole. Do I have to take it over a creek? Does that bring that creek into play if I mishit it? So it's all percentages, really.
Hey, Brian, always a pleasure, and we look forward to catching up with you next Thursday or next Wednesday.
You got it. Thanks, guys. Have a great holiday weekend.
You as well. And again, if you're planning on going to Mill Creek, you may want to call in your reservation
right now
because it's filling up fast. And I got to be honest, I wouldn't mind getting up at 5:30 in the morning and going out on the golf course, especially when it's going to be in the low 90s. Why not get up at like 5:30 in the morning, grab your clubs, play 18 holes from 6 in the morning. You're probably done around 10:30. The weather is still reasonably comfortable before it gets hot.
I personally don't function before 8 a.m. So
well, I mean, you'd have to drink a ridiculous amount of coffee. Let's be honest.
Serious no for me, but I'm just more of a night person than a morning person. So people that know me know that I kind of stay up late, wake up late. So 6 a.m. tea time, not going to fly with me.
Hideki Matsuyama.
Matsuyama.
Okay, so that's the guy that I need to drive down to Mountaineer and put money on Hideki Matsuyama.
Yep, I think he's 18-1 odds. So
that's not bad.
So
you put $20 on an 18-1 odd, you're getting about $360. That's not bad. I'll gladly take that.
I've never bet on golf. Is it basically win or don't get anything, or do you get something if they finish like top 5?
No, this is to
straight
win.
Up win.
Yeah, straight up win.
All right.
I got to believe Terrell Hatton is probably 40-1.
No, he's actually 16-1. Odds
Oh, really?
When I was looking at it.
Okay.
He was one of the guys. The favorite is Bryson DeChambeau. He's 7-1. Webb Simpson's 11-1. Then Brian's guy Patrick Reed is 16-1. So is your guy, and then Matsuyama is 18-1.
What is Ricky Fowler? Because it seems to me Ricky Fowler, and this was a good selection in terms of Brian's Power 5. He had Patrick Reed 1, Ricky Fowler 2. Ricky Fowler could very well be a major threat to win this weekend.
Ricky Fowler's 30-1.
That's not a bad little get. And again, we always love to talk about the gambling aspect of this. And, well, state of Ohio needs to hurry it up to make sure that we're actually not losing any more money than what we already are to our brethren in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Indiana, and Michigan and Kentucky.
And he wasn't mentioned, but someone that I was looking at, like, if I wanted to go off the beaten path, and if I had someone prepared in case Brian said Hideki, that way I could look kind of, I wouldn't just be jumping on his bandwagon. I like Kevin Na this weekend, and he's a little bit further down the odds poll, but I think he's got a good chance too. He's 35-1.
All right, there you go. So if you are going to run on the Anthony train where
Hideki.
He's been very hot, and you plan on putting some shekels down on the weekend golfing, Hideki Matsuyama is Anthony's selection. Terrell Hatton is my selection. Patrick Reed is the selection of Brian's. As we will take a timeout, and on the other side, we will take some more phone calls and maybe get hung up on by people. It is a Wednesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Stay in the showers. I'm keeping my eye on in parts of Columbiana County.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
It's a Wednesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Apparently, this morning on the Dan Patrick Show, the world's most hated man in baseball, Rob Manfred, was on. And basically, here's the Cliff Notes version of Rob Manfred's interview with Dan Patrick. Apparently, the plan was always 60 games, and they basically screwed up the negotiations in March. MLB will not discuss players that have COVID, would only say they were placed on the injury list.
So is that like, does he mean like the plan going for if someone gets COVID?
If someone gets COVID, they're not going to say what's wrong with them, but they're going to put them on the injury list.
Well, yeah, if someone all of a sudden is on the injury list, it's going to be like, don't pay any attention to this man behind the curtain.
Exactly.
You know what's going on.
Well, especially when the other guys, you're going to know, hey, he's on the disabled list due to a pulled calf, or he's on the disabled list because he hurt his arm. Well, why is this guy on the disabled list? No, never mind about that guy. Don't worry about him. Oh, okay. Now, it's not going to be. You're not going to be a rocket scientist to figure this one out.
And you can't make up injuries to try to hide it. You can't just say, "Oh, he's got a swollen finger or whatever." You can't make stuff up blatantly. So we're going to know. It's not going to be that secretive.
And the problem with all of this is going to be, okay, if you're on the disabled list, and no one's saying anything. Are we going to be testing some players? Okay, that's a new one. I didn't even put the volume up, and that came out. So that's always good.
That one was an annoying one. Did you recognize that number?
No, I didn't. But once DJ gets that number, the last name was Stevens. So that's always fun. All right, 330-886-0813. It's always nice to have these. People call in and just make some problems, because all you're doing is making problems for yourself long term. That's just all there is to it.
That one, that was just a ringing in our ears.
Yeah,
it's not nice.
That's something that I get all the time anyway. So we don't need to have that any more than what we normally get.
If we're in the middle of a show and Ron just kind of does this. You know he's hearing a high-pitched sound.
It's not like I'm disagreeing with someone where a dog, if you say something to him, the dog does one of these numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that I'm disagreeing with you or I'm like, huh? I'm basically hearing the high-pitched little thing, to which I'm sure an audiologist is probably looking back and saying,
"You got some problems.
You need an appointment, Sonny." Yeah, well, go figure. All right, 330-886-0813. So essentially, the plan all along, like we didn't know, the owners wanted a 60-game season. That's all they wanted, given the fact that you don't have any fans in the stands, so you're not getting any money that way. You can still get your 60 games worth of money from the radio contract locally, the local TV deal, the national TV deal, the internet, MLB.com. That's divided up into 30 different teams. So it's their goal was to do 60 games, and that would provide as little damage control as humanly possible, and that was their goal all along. And it just is what it is.
Of course, it's easy to say that after it all comes out. It was always our goal to play 60 games. So it's easy to say that and try to look smart, but I don't think Rob Manfred knew what he was doing.
Well, that's a given.
He's good at kind of staying face.
Yeah, that's a given in a lot of stuff that Manfred does. I mean, the big thing that, and again, I hate to harp on this, but the big thing that Major League Baseball has that is on the horizon, not just the end of the agreement with the Major League Baseball Players Association at the end of 2021, if you go into the minor leagues, you got some serious problems. Minor League Baseball, you have a serious issue with 42 teams possibly getting cut out. And now that there is no minor league baseball, you have a situation where you could very easily not have minor league baseball by that ownership group in 2021, because all of the owners, especially the mom and pop owners, they just got stung for a significant loss. And I'm sure if you shot truth serum into all of those people that own a minor league baseball team that are not owned by the major league parent club, I would be willing to bet that a high percentage of those people would like to sell their team right now.
Yeah, you brought it up earlier, though. It's like, is there someone that would be willing to buy their team right now? Especially the teams that aren't guaranteed to have another season in 2021.
I mean, look.
If you are, it's a great value for a minor league baseball
absolutely.
team. But if you don't have you're taking, it's all risk reward. That's what business is. So I think there's high value in minor league baseball no matter what. It's just, is that person willing to take the risk on the teams that aren't guaranteed to have a 2021 season?
This is
because then you're buying nothing.
Yeah, this is the equivalent of trying to buy stock after the Dow Jones went down 10,000 points. Okay, I mean you assume that everything is going to shoot back up, and you're buying low to sell high,
right?
Which is the ultimate form of capitalism. If you buy low, and then when you're wanting to get out of the business, you sell at about as high as you can and make as large a profit as you can. The problem is, I don't know how we're going to go about Major League Baseball or minor league baseball in 2021. And then think about this. After the 2021 season, the major leaguers are in all likelihood going to go on strike. What does that mean for minor league baseball? Do the minor leaguers join their brethren in the major leaguers? Now, they're not a part of the Major League Baseball Players Association. They're not in that union. Do they join their brethren, or do they play minor league baseball in 2022? Those two compartments, or those two subjects, are the reason why, if I were someone who had a lot of money, I'm not 100% sure that I would purchase a minor league baseball team right now.
I don't trust this guy.
Let's go back to the phone lines. You're on Running Point. What's going on? Hello? Hello? This is a nice one-sided conversation we're having right now. Okay. Yeah, that's always good. Really? I was a little surprised because that was a female. It came up a female. So DJ is going to have so much fun with these people.
We're getting spammed real bad.
Yeah, DJ is going to have so much fun with these people when it's all said and done. Yeah, I mean, enjoy what you guys are doing now, because I guarantee you're going to get hammered with a lot of stuff that you're not going to want for quite a while. And we'll just leave it at that. You want to play with fire, Scarecrow? Okay, we'll have some fun at your expense. 330-886-0813 if you legitimately want to call in and have some fun. Absolutely.
Please, someone give us a real call.
Yeah, a real call, and not someone that goes, hey, run, and hang up the phone, or put a loud ear-piercing noise.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
I'll come
on,
after
seriously?
you for that.
Come on, grow up.
Right.
Good Lord. We had our buddy Rich. I keep in touch with him on social media, and he
called the Power Hour yesterday.
Did he?
Looking funny.
All right, well, there you go. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, big guy. He was talking about and asked me how many combined no-hitters are there, and about a dozen or so. But the most known comes out of Boston back in 1917, which was 103 years ago.
Whoa.
Babe Ruth was pitching for the Boston Red Sox. Now, back in those days, Ruth was not only a right fielder, he also pitched every 4 days. And Babe Ruth was on the mound, and he walked the first batter. Ruth was then ejected for arguing balls and strikes with home plate umpire Brick Owens. Not only was he ejected from the game, Babe Ruth was starting to slug this guy. So back in those days, you didn't get suspended for a long period of time because, well, they didn't have a commissioner that really poo-pooed all that stuff. Mountain Landis was not the commissioner until after the Black Sox scandal. So prior to 1920, when Kennesaw Mountain Landis became the commissioner of Major League Baseball, baseball was commissionerless. So you didn't have someone to say, hey, you, fat boy, Babe Ruth, you're down for the whole year because you struck an umpire. So anyway, Ruth walked the leadoff hitter, Ray Morgan. And Morgan was then caught stealing after Ruth was ejected from the game. Ernie Shore came on to pitch. Morgan was caught stealing, and then Shore retired the final 26 men in a row. No hitter.
So it's technically a combined no hitter, but not really.
No, it is a combined no hitter.
I know, but
because Babe Ruth faced the leadoff guy.
Yeah, he did.
And Ernie Shore,
he walked him.
Ernie Shore actually was 1 out away from a perfect game.
So Ernie Shore was on the mound for every out because they caught the guy.
Yeah,
stealing.
he was on the mound for every single out, but because Babe Ruth walked the guy, that's his responsibility.
Yep.
So technically,
see,
Ruth went a third of an inning, no runs, no hits, 1 walk, no strikeouts.
Not even a third of an inning, right? Because a third of an inning is an out.
Well, does he get credit for the out, or does Ernie Shore get credit for the out?
Caught stealing. I imagine the pitcher that's on the mound still gets credit for that out, though, right?
That's a great question. I mean, that's the ultimate scorer's question right there. But Ernie Shore relieved Babe Ruth.
If Shore got credit for the out, he would have also been given the no hitter, right? Because then he would have been responsible for all 27 outs.
Well,
so he must have went whatever in 2/3 innings.
Yeah, well, he and Babe Ruth combined on a no-hitter. So there you go. I know this guy's not going to screw us. Champ, you're on YSNLive.com. What's up, Champ?
This might be something with us.
Champ, what's up?
Champ,
are you there, buddy?
This might be on our.
This might be on our line. What the heck is going on here with this thing? Our phone is down.
Hello?
Champ, what's going on, brother?
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. What's up, man?
Okay, hey, listen up. That thing you were just talking about, Babe Ruth, I do believe, too, that the catcher also got ejected with Babe Ruth during that game. And a new catcher came in, and he was the one that threw the runner out at second. I believe, I recall that. I may be wrong, but I kind of remember that both Babe Ruth and the catcher got into a little brouhaha with the umpire, and I think they were both ejected from.
Yeah, Brick Owens threw Babe Ruth out. That I know for sure. And then Babe Ruth came out and punched him in the face, which interesting to say the least. And like I said, if there was a commissioner in Major League Baseball, Ruth would have probably been suspended for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so that's what happened on that. But going back, got the COVID-19 and what baseball is going to do is they are prohibited, really, because of HIPAA laws, to mention anything about the player. Now, if the player wants to self-admit to people, to the media, he can do that. And he might do that because if he's tested positive, he may want to alert some people around him that he's been hanging out with. But the list itself, the COVID list itself, you can ask the managers and the owners and the teams all you want. They're not going to mention anything about it because they're prohibited from doing that. And there could be some. And what happens if they test positive? They will be immediately quarantined and sent home or go to a medical facility. So they won't even be around the team, and they're not allowed to travel, go anywhere. They got to stay wherever they go. Just stay there until it's over with their quarantine. But also players that are hanging out with players that test positive will also be put on this list. So we can't assume that if someone's on this list that they have tested positive, they could be quarantined because they were hanging out with a guy that tested positive. But the media is going to have a hard time finding out who they'll eventually find out because the player's going to be away from the team for a period of time. But the player themselves can self-admit, and that's the only thing through HIPAA laws. You can self-admit that you have the virus for various reasons. But other than that, the teams, when you ask them about it, they can't even say yes or no whether this person tested positive. They will not say anything about it.
Well, it's going to be easy to figure out who it is because when someone goes on the disabled list, they normally give a reason. So unless Major League Baseball puts the kibosh on everybody in terms of, okay, this guy's going on the DL, but we're not going to tell you why he's going on the DL, and they do that for everyone, then that's the only way that we're not going to know who has COVID and who doesn't have COVID. Because normally when someone goes on the disabled list, you get the reason, like a strained oblique muscle, pulled hamstring. They'll give a reason. Seems to me that when you see someone go on the DL and they're not giving a reason why, it's not going to take a rocket scientist to figure out this guy's COVID related. That's why he's on the disabled list.
But, Ron, I understand that the COVID list might be a separate list. I think that when you go on the disabled list, they'll tell you he injured his hamstring or his arm hurts or his knee hurts. But I think the COVID list might be a separate whole list that they'll just put him on the COVID list and I think it's separate. What I was reading about it, I don't even think they're even connected. So, and that's I think that's the right way to do it. And when you ask them about that, but their situation says that the media will try to figure it out because the guy's not going to be with the team anymore. But however, I'll make this point though that somebody could be quarantined, but just quarantined because maybe somebody they've been hanging out with that tested positive. They're quarantined because they may not have any of the symptoms, but they're just doing that for their own safety.
Yeah, if they're out of the lineup 2 straight days, then you know something's going on. I mean, now, if you're someone's out of the lineup for 1 day, and you ask the guy, and he doesn't say, "Well, I gave him the day off," then you know there's something going on.
Yeah, and then and I know I kind of was talking about this, putting this runner on second base, and I'm familiar with it because they did it last year with the Erie team because I did listen to a lot of Erie games. But the individual that's on second base, we know that it's the person who made the last out. Now, they also have something in there if it happens to be a pitcher. Now, we're using the DH, but let's say, for example, that the team gives up the DH during the game. If that pitcher is the one that made the last out, then they go to the batter that batted before the pitcher. The pitcher doesn't have to be the pinch runner. And you can pinch run for that person, by the way, too, someone off the bench. And also, they're going to treat it as that person that gets on second base in the 10th inning. They're treating it like it's a 2-base error. So it will not be an earned run, but it will not count as an error to the defensive team. That's how they describe that.
I'm already disgusted by it. I mean, yeah. I understand why they're doing it because they don't want to have a large amount of extra inning games. But I'm already disgusted by this. I just hope that it's a one-shot deal and we never see this in 2021.
Yeah, I don't get why before the virus, why they even considering this. What was the motivation to do this stupid rule? I don't get it.
Well, it goes on in every other level of baseball. They have it in minor leagues. They have it in international baseball. So they must have thought that, if everyone else is doing it, why shouldn't we do it to stop these 16-inning, 17-inning games that really drag on into the night? They don't want that to happen.
Well, then just go to bed. If you're tired, go to bed. I don't mind those long games. Just go to bed. It's not my fault you can't stay up and listen and pay attention to a baseball game. It's probably above your head. Just go to bed. I'll be listening to it.
There you go. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Hey, what else is on your mind, brother?
That's about it, really. I just wanted to do that. But my fingers are crossed now because the hard part, we thought the hard part would be the contract. Well, the hard part now, as you know, is to try to get through this, all sports right now, without this COVID ending it. But I'm hopeful for baseball. I'm hoping because I'm actually looking forward to it. I changed my mind. I need something now. I'm tired of watching the classics. I'm just tired of it. So,
all right, Chip.
I'm ready. Play ball.
Yeah, there you go. Always a pleasure, brother.
Okay, take care.
All right, man. See you. All right, there he goes. We're going to take a timeout. On the other side, we are going to hear from Scott Knox. He was a former minor league baseball player. From his perspective, let's talk about what canceling the minor league baseball season means for the minor leaguers that are not going to be selected as part of the taxi squad in Major League Baseball this year.
This is Scott Knox's first appearance on Running Point, correct?
No, this will be his second.
Second. He was back
this will be his
early.
second.
First with me. So I've heard some stories about the conversations that you guys have and how thick you guys are. So this should be fun.
We'll have some fun with Noxie. That's coming up in a bit. Stick around.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
Friday night, it's fresh limousine. I'm feeling pretty good about myself, like I'm living the dream. Platform shoes, strutting down the street. It's gonna get hot in here, I hope you can handle the heat.
Over the years, you watched us grow, and as we've done, so has the Myers Family Insurance team.
Thanks to all of you who have trusted our families to help you with your Medicare needs.
Myers Family Insurance looks forward to helping you now for years to come, so call our family today and remind them how cute we are.
Myers Family Insurance continues to be the area's resource for all your Medicare and retirement needs. Call today, 330-286-3044.
All right, it's a Wednesday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig. We mentioned the world's worst kept secret was announced yesterday with a cancellation of the 2020 minor league baseball season. Let's get a baseball player's perspective out of this as we are joined by former minor leaguer Scott Knox, who joins us on the YSN hotline. Knoxy, what's going on, my brother?
Meister, how's it going?
I'm going well. I'm doing well, brother. Hey, you played minor league baseball in the early mid '80s, and you know if you had gone into what's going on today with the kids that have their 2020 season canceled without even playing one minor league baseball game, how much damage do you think it would have done for your career personally?
Well, from a player's perspective, I think the first thing you look at is obviously development at where you're at your age. I mean, if you're a high school player that got drafted as a senior, you have a little bit more leeway usually coming out as an 18-year-old for the most part. If you're a collegiate player and you've got to be in your junior year or 21, which usually happens in the same year in most cases, or obviously as a senior, then you're in that 21, 22 age bracket, so you're going to lose 1 full year of development and obviously 1 full year of developing in that farm system from whatever team drafted you or free agently signed you.
Yeah, and look, I mean, we're going to get into the age discrimination that is Major League Baseball, and it is very real. It's my understanding, and based on all the years that I was in minor league baseball, if you're a minor leaguer when you're 25 or 26 years of age, the theory in Major League Baseball is if that light bulb hasn't turned on by the time you're 25, 26 at the latest, 99 times out of 100, they cut the cord and say that's it. Unless they want you to be an organizational guy, they cut the cord on you.
Very true. And then the other thing is depending on whether you sign as a free agent or where you were drafted, will have a lot to say. So I mean, we used to call them guys that went in the first round and even in the second round, the old bonus babies, getting the high signing bonus. Obviously that's more of an investment from a club as far as money into a player. So they're going to be more patient and they're going to hang on to you for the most part a little bit longer than maybe somebody that signed as a free agent or somebody drafted lower or in the later rounds. So, yeah, again, you start getting up in age, each year goes by, you can kind of see the writing on the wall in most cases.
All these players that are dealing with this, they have to kind of deal with the cards they're dealt because there's nothing they can do about minor league baseball being canceled. You played in minor league baseball, as we said, so what advice would you give to them to kind of, without live baseball, well, what's the best thing they can do for themselves to get themselves in the best possible position in this year that they have without baseball?
Obviously, with the year being canceled, then they've got to find themselves in a situation where, a little bit like the professional guys in other sports are dealing with right now, trying to find somewhere where you're going to continue to work out on your own, keeping your skills sharp. That's a tough one because, again, there's nothing organized as far as playing that you're going to be able to take part in. So that's going to fall back onto a lot of bit of self-discipline of what you're able to do with you or a small group of friends that are in the same situation that you're going to try to stay sharp for the following year. And that's a tough thing.
Scott, you brought up the fact that, the bonus babies and the higher round draft picks normally get a much better chance than the lower round guys and the free agent guys. And that's all well and good until a new farm director comes into town or a new general manager comes into town. This is another aspect of the game that I don't think many people recognize. When a new farm director comes into town, he wants his own people to fill in the spots of the, quote, organizational guys. So even if you're a good soldier and you're not going to make it to the major leagues, but you're a good soldier, you're a good clubhouse guy, you still may not have a home if a new farm director comes in. And that goes the same for some of the higher draft picks. If they haven't panned themselves out in 3 or 4 years and a new farm director comes in, he's going to want his own guys.
Oh, no question. And again, that's throughout the whole organization. Administratively, you start changing from the owner down, player development director, minor league farm director. You start changing names and roles. It's like any other business. Whether you own a bank or whatsoever, you start changing the owners, and then they start changing different people in their positions, and obviously falling back into the playing standpoint. There's no safe haven there. You're pretty well, if you haven't done something to really grab their attention, then again, you're laying out there somewhat on an island in most cases.
Talk about kind of the mental marathon it takes to kind of work yourself through the minor leagues and kind of, you keep having to go up a level, and what it kind of takes mentally to get through all that and then eventually get to the majors.
Oh, it's definitely a grind. Wherever they send you, and in most cases they're going to send you to the rookie ball level. I know when I signed in 1984, I went, and that's when obviously Pittsburgh, and they still are in Bradenton. I went to Bradenton, and they put me on the rookie ball level team, which is obviously short season A, and then I proceeded up to short season A, and the New York Penn League at Watertown, New York, was the affiliate for the Pirates then. And then obviously you have long season A, which I went to Prince William from there, and then you have your double A. In that case was Nashua, New Hampshire at that time, and then of course our triple A team at that time with Pittsburgh was Hawaii, if you can imagine that, the good old mainland over there. But again, getting back to the question that you asked, it really turns into a grind. And there, that goes back to a high school player getting drafted, coming out as an 18-year-old, and thrown into a situation where they didn't have a chance to go to college, mature a little bit, grow up a little bit more, and coming out as a 21, 22-year-old. I can think back me graduating from high school as an 18-year-old and me signing as a 22-year-old. I was two different people from 18 to 22, maturity-wise and physical-wise and mental-wise as such. So it's really a grind, and it's a self-discipline thing. You're taking care of yourself. You're on the road. you're on the bus, you're in the hotel. So from that standpoint, and Poe, you as an announcer, being in that situation, you seeing it from your side as far as an announcer, and me from a player standpoint, it's unbelievably a grind. And again, the thing that motivates is everybody's trying to get to what we call the show, the big leagues. You're trying to get to the show. That's your dream. That's constantly out in front of you, blinking, and that's what you're constantly striving for. But I'll tell you what, physically, and mentally, and more than mentally than anything, is a grind.
How fast did you have to kind of adjust to being self-reliant, not just in your game but in life? Because in college and high school, you constantly have coaches telling you what to adjust, what to do. But now all of a sudden in the minor leagues, you still have your coaches, but there's a lot of stuff that's just up to you. You have to kind of self-coach yourself through a lot. So talk about that part of the job too.
Yeah, and again, high school, I mean, you got your high school situations, which was very basic. You got your high school coach and coaching staff. And then obviously the real teaching, real teaching on a day-to-day basis obviously came at the collegiate level for the most part. You have your infield coach, you have your hitting coach, you have your pitching coach, and then of course you have your head coach, and you're working in stations, you're working individually, you're working as a team. And the college thing and was obviously much different than high school. And of course then when you get into the professional level, it's even more different because you don't have that constant day-to-day fixing for the most part, and adjusting, I should say, from the coaches. I mean, yeah, you have your coaching staff there, but for the most part, other than your head coach, your manager at the professional level, you have a full-time pitching coach, and then they have what they call their roving instructors that move around in a minor league system. You might have your minor league infield roving instructor that might come around periodically, not on a day-to-day basis, and then also your hitting instructor that might come around as a roving guy periodically. So you don't get that day-to-day adjustment type of thing. So that's a lot of on your own, and then working with each other on the team, and then obviously, what I used to do resource-wise is, check back with my college coaches that were obviously awesome too. I mean, high school coaches, we had a nice staff in high school, but the collegiate coaches, because it was a day-to-day, everyday teaching thing, because I was just full go. I would link back to that and touch into that resource. Obviously, you might get into a slump. What could I be doing here, adjusting this and that? So, yeah.
And in the pro levels, you get two buses, and this was one of my favorite aspects of the game. You would have two buses, and the first bus would normally be for guys that want extra hitting, extra fielding, or more importantly, if you're injured and you want to get some therapy, some training, some work on your muscles before you start to play. Second bus is for the starting pitcher and anyone else that just wants to get a late start but still have plenty of time. Now, I'm not saying that this happened all the time, but every once in a while, minor league players got to let off some steam, especially when we're on the road, or some other things tend to take place, which we won't get into. But let's just say, toward the end of a series, toward the end of a road trip, 99% of the people are on the second bus. And the pass list toward the end of a 4-game series is about 1.5 miles long, and 99% of it is single women. I'm just saying.
well, yeah, and again, we can go into a lot of stories, but yeah, the thing of it is, you get, and even more the fact is, we leave. I can remember when we left Prince William, Virginia, we'd go on a 10-day road trip through Lynchburg and Winston-Salem and as such, and Salem, Virginia, and each series, each three or 4 game series that you went through, more tired, more run down, and then that beginning of that trip, going early to the park at 2 p.m. and taking some extra ground balls and taking some extra swings, that was all and good. But boy, you get to the end of that trip, and all of a sudden, like you say, the pass list grows, and the extra work kind of goes to the side a little bit, and you're trying damage control and to recharge as such, and just trying to survive it.
Hey, Scott, a couple of things before we let you go, because I know you're busy. Obviously, with your career, you got to high A ball. Did you get a couple of at-bats in double A ball?
Well, what happened is with double A, and the way they did it in spring training when back in the 80s, they would usually put you in the next upper classification or even put you up in the next two classifications, meaning our AAA team was Hawaii then, and our AA team was Nashua, New Hampshire. So basically what happened was in spring training, I actually got to play a decent amount of time with the Hawaii team, which was the AAA team, and then they shuffled down and played some with the AA team. And then towards the end of spring training, the last couple days when clubs are trying to finally get their rosters aligned and you're ready to break camp and then head into your wherever you're going to be with the start of with your team, they call it the old shuffle down. And what they would do is obviously your manager would come up and say, hey, tomorrow, I know in AA at that time, Johnny LaPon, I don't know if you remember little Johnny LaPon, was with the Pittsburgh farm system forever. And I can remember him coming up to me and said, hey, you know what, we're breaking camp in another day. You're going to be with the Prince William Club, which is long season A. So when I broke camp, he come up and told me that. But yeah, I got a decent amount of work with Hawaii and Nashua and the AA team before they start shuffling down rosters as such. Yeah.
Hey, how important for you as a minor league player, and how important is it for minor league baseball to not drop the 42 teams and not drop short A ball and keep it as is with rookie ball, short A ball, low A, high A, double A, and triple A? Seems to me that by Major League Baseball dropping rookie league and short A and basically making it low A, high A, double A, and triple A, number one, you're killing a lot of players that might not necessarily deserve to be killed. But more importantly, number two, you're going to expect guys to go right into low A ball, and there's a big difference between rookie ball and low A ball.
Oh, a big difference from rookie to low A. And again, and you hit it, development. Guys develop at a different speed and a different pace. Guys are going to get released in an earlier time where instead of they might have got an extra look or an extra year. And the more teams there are and the more chances you have to play in front of what we call the brass, which are the people making the decisions in the minor league system, the more times you got to play in front of them and them get a chance to see you improve your skills to be able to move you up to the next level can only help the players. So when they start eliminating teams and start eliminating different positions and different places where you have a chance to develop, get better, and improve, and obviously when it comes time to make that decision, now there's more guys that you're going to be up against in some cases, and then you're going to be evaluated against guys that they got to make a decision on where they've got to be a little bit more precise and more kind of locked in, and again, that can only work against the majority of the guys. Now, obviously, if you hit it right, and I always say, and you know how it is, Poe, it's like hitting. Hitting's all timing. Being at the right place at the right time is all timing. And I can think back on all the guys that I played with, played against, and even guys in the area that had a chance to play pro ball. Being at the right time, at the right place, is really it most of the time, and that's what it really comes back to.
We have a couple kids in the area right now that, they're working hard. They're going to go to big schools, and you never know, they could be called up. What kind of advice would you give to them as they're kind of working on their baseball craft right now at 15, 16 years old, maybe 17?
Again, just in baseball is an everyday game, and it's work on your skills, as much as you can. Try try to improve as much as you can on a day-to-day basis, and just have a great attitude. And it gets back to that mental grind again. I mean, it's very easy to get into a rut where, some things happen. And in this case, we're talking about the COVID situation here and all the negative stuff that is out there, and minor league baseball getting eliminated. You've just got to mentally be tougher. And in most cases, unfortunately, a lot of players won't be mentally strong enough to get through something like this. And if you are, and you can just stay with it and just stay with the grind and continue to improve and just tell yourself, better things are ahead. I've got to put myself in the best situation possible. So when that time comes, I've got to be ready for it. So when the right eyes get on me, I've got the best chance, and I've given myself the best chance. So again, it's a day-to-day thing, great attitude, and just stay at it. And just, you got to be a grinder.
Well, and then the other thing that I'll piggyback on what you said, when you have the opportunity, here's a spoiler alert. You never know what set of eyes is on you. So you got to bust your butt every single day and do your job every single day, because you have no idea if someone who is about to change your life is watching you play, or in my case, listening to you broadcast a game. I was in Vero Beach, Florida, and I only spent 1 year in Vero Beach, and that's because the owner of the West End Diamond Jacks had a home in Vero Beach, was down in Vero Beach, unbeknownst to me, listened to a couple of games of mine, and hired me after the season was over to do AA baseball. So for me, I went from A to AA because someone heard my stuff. And it's the same with a player. You don't know if a scout, especially around the trade deadline, Scott, you know this as well as I do, scouts are all over the place by the trade deadline. And if you're busting your butt and you're playing a really good game in front of a scout, Lord knows what can happen because this game is so friggin' connected.
Oh, there's no question. And again, and I know we talked about it 10 or 15 minutes ago with at the end of a road trip, and I can go back to that. Let's say you're getting near the trade deadline, you're at the end of a 10-game road trip, and I mean, you're gassed out, and it's the day game after the night game, getaway day. You guys, everybody's getting ready to go back. We were getting ready to go back to Prince William after being on the road for 10 days, and that last afternoon game, that 2:00 game on Sunday. You're in the starting lineup, and you know how it was, Poe. Everybody did a rain dance, the old rain dance. Let's get rained out so we can recharge and have a day off. Well, there's no rainouts, no day off. 10th game of the road trip, and you got guys littered behind the backstop, radar guns, stopwatches, and here's the time where you got to say, I hit a ground ball, and I better gas it out to first base, because I got 35 watches on me, and if I take that one at bat off, I could get released or traded.
No two ways about that. And Noxie, always a pleasure, brother. I owe you dinner, and you got to come into the studio and let's swap some PG-13 borderline R-rated stories on the road.
Definitely, Poe. Thanks for the time, and thanks, Anthony. I appreciate it.
Toe that line.
Brother, appreciate it. Now, listen, we can do borderline R-rated stories. I mean, there's not going to be anything.
The problem with borderline, Ron, is you're so close to that line, you take one little accidental step over and you go, oops.
Well, we don't do any accidents around here. Eh?
No.
We have our toes right at the line,
right,
and we don't go over the line. That's the beautiful part of this show. Have you ever heard me say the F word?
No.
No, that was made crystal clear to me that I don't do anything like that, so we don't use that language.
But I've never seen you with someone else that can also push the envelope right next to you and going back and forth, get caught up in the moment.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that is definitely true. Look, I don't want to out.
I have faith in you, and so does DJ. I'm just trying to bust your.
Noxie and I are not going to out anybody.
No,
I mean, let's just make that perfectly clear. But I got stories. I mean, let's just say minor league baseball is not all about playing the game of baseball. There is so much fun that goes with that, and I think Baseball America had something on social media. JJ Cooper,
really good.
Phenomenal.
and they have the baseball, and they finally this year came out with Softball America too. So you subscribe to one, you get both sports, and there's great writers, and they do a really good job of, at least in softball. I don't know how well they do it in baseball, but ranking and kind of putting out the future of the game. So the class of 2022, and try and, especially during the summer and all those travel ball, they come out with a lot of good stuff about, players that you'll see in a couple of years.
Oh, absolutely. But in minor league aspect of it, they did a real nice job, and it used to come out every 2 weeks. Now it just comes out every month. But that was a staple. When I was in minor league ball, every minor league baseball team got about 6 or 7 copies of Baseball America. And guys would be reading the Baseball America. I always picked up a copy of it just to have some stuff to talk about if a game was getting out of hand, along with the game notes. You exhaust the game notes, and you always want to have something, an ace up your sleeve, just in case a game is completely out of hand. And Baseball America had some great articles and whatnot. But look, I mean, minor league baseball, I mentioned J.J. Cooper from Baseball America had a post saying, minor league baseball has been canceled. What does minor league baseball mean to you? And I answered specifically, what minor league baseball really means to me. And I closed my tweet out by saying, I was a minor league broadcaster for 12 years, and there is not a thing in the world that I would trade for those 12 years. It was that much fun. I had so much fun doing minor league baseball, and it wasn't just about the baseball. You forge friendships on the bus, going from destination A to destination B. Forget about the game for a second. I loved going down on the field and watching guys take BP, and watching the opposing team take some BP and catch up with some of the players from that team and get some stories from them as well. I mean, the game itself, there's so much camaraderie in the game and so much behind the scenes with the game, both on and off the field. Minor league baseball is just so much fun, and that's why I'm so pissed at Major League Baseball right now for doing the unthinkable of erasing 42 teams and going into a direction that I think long-term is going to be an absolute disaster for Major League Baseball. I really believe it's going to be a disaster.
Is this a legit call?
It might be. Let's go to the phone lines. You're on Running Point. What's up? That's you. What's up?
This is Tom. I got your email about finding my cat.
Oh, Tom.
So relieved.
Yeah. I found your cat.
I live next to a river, and I have a bag.
Yeah, Tom. Listen, your cat got run over a couple of days ago, and I tried to go to the vets to fix it, and man, your cat. It's missing an eye, it's limping, and it has all kinds of other stuff. Is your cat named Lucky by chance? Get the hell out of here.
You know what? I buried your cat in the pet cemetery, and it came back. So,
cue the Halloween music.
Right.
Beautiful.
That's a creepy movie. I don't know if you've seen it back in the
Pet Cemetery.
There's a remake, but the older Pet Cemetery.
That was a Stephen King production.
Yep,
yeah.
Where anytime that something that's supposed to be innocent turns evil, really creeps me out. So when the little boy came back as a, whatever you want to call him, a demon or whatever, from the ground, and he slits the guy's ankles from under the bed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just creepy. Anytime like The Omen, anytime you have a little kid that's supposed to be innocent and they're evil, that gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Cujo bothered me too. How do you do that to a Saint Bernard?
Right.
A St. Bernard is supposed to be this lovable, it's a big-ass dog, but it's supposed to be a lovable dog, and he gets bit and gets developed rabies and turns into a holy terror.
Yeah.
That's horrible. By the way, the young kid, the young boy that was basically scarred for life, it has to go to therapy for the rest of his movie life.
Yep.
Do you know who the young boy turned out to be?
No.
Alyssa Milano's brother in Who's the Boss.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we're going to take a call from Rich because Rich is legit. Rich, what's going on, brother?
Good afternoon, young man Ross.
What's up, my brother?
Hey, Anthony, what's up?
Hey, Rich. Thanks for being a real caller.
Yeah, we've had all kinds of people that are talking about me finding their cat, and they're going, "Is this Ron?" and then hanging up on me. So it's always nice to have a legit caller.
Oh, wow. Well, gee, it's pretty bad when I'm in such high esteem. That means you've really sunk into some ratings there, brother.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe not so much low ratings. It's people are now starting to listen, and then the dumbasses are calling up and trying to cause some problems. So there you go.
You remember in the days of Pete Franklin on 1100, and when he'd get a butthead, he'd just go, "You're out of here."
Yeah. Yeah, and Pete would embarrass them before he said goodnight to them. Yeah, that was he was one of my favorites.
Oh, he was the awesome one. Anyway, we kind of crossed paths this morning on the perfect game that wasn't quite perfect. The pitcher did 27 or 28 batters or something like that.
Yeah,
and you said it was Babe Ruth who was tossed in the first inning, and then his relief pitcher went in to shut the game down.
Yes, and I got the information for you. June 23rd, 1917, Babe Ruth was a member of the Boston Red Sox. Now, this was prior to baseball having a major league commissioner, so Babe Ruth was not suspended for punching out an umpire, but that's what he did.
Hold on, I got a cough. Real baseball.
Yeah. All right, so Ruth is ejected after arguing balls and strikes with a home plate umpire, Brick Owens. It seems that Ruth thought that Brick Owens missed a couple of strikes during the AB. He walks Ray Morgan, the leadoff man, in the first inning. Morgan, after Ruth is ejected from the game, Morgan is then caught stealing, and Ernie Shore, who came on to pitch for Babe Ruth, retired the final 26 men in a row. So it's a combined no-hitter, as there were no hits in the ball game, and Ernie Shore gets credit for most of that, but no perfect game because Babe Ruth walked the leadoff hitter.
Ernie Shore, just like it sounds, S-H-O-R-E.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, Ernie Shore was the guy.
That is pretty phenomenal. Well, back then, in fact, up until about the 70s or 80s, baseball was pretty much hooligans. The Mantles and the Roots, and there's 1,000 guys in between. And the umpires back in that day were also going to with their equipment on, if they had any. They were loaded just like everybody else. They were drunk or high or whatever they did back then.
Well, yeah, so, Doc Ellis pitching a no-hitter on acid. I mean, he pitched a no-hitter on LSD, so, yeah.
Yeah, didn't Blue Moon Odom and Vita Blue do some similar stuff or something like that?
Oh, yeah, listen, I mean, back in the day when, in the 60s, which was the free world and everyone was just having a little bit too much fun, a lot of that stuff was going on.
I mean, my second wife's grandfather was 84 years old when I met him. Was a professional boxer in his time. Okay, Jack Stoltz was his name. This is back in, he was boxing in the 15s and 20s. He was 100 wins, 4 losses. One of his losses was to Joey Maxim out of Cleveland.
Wow.
Yeah, and he said Joey Maxim hit him so hard in the gut that blood came out of his eye.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Joey Maxim goes on to Madison Square Gardens to face Sugar Ray Robinson, and the rest is history. This is what guys were doing. But anyway, I'm in Grandpa's garage with him, and he had owned a Lincoln dealership in that area in Cambridge, and had toolboxes to the ceiling and all this stuff hanging off of them. And there was this little thimble on this little chain with a spoon. I mean, what is this? He goes, "You don't know what that is?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Well, back in the in the mid 15s, the cocaine was legal, and it was filled up the thimble, and you put the little lid on it, and then you could walk along and socialize with people out and about all day. And then it went illegal. Well, it may have gone illegal with the civilian population, but anybody who had money back then, a.k.a. ball players and politicians, had access to it because it was black market.
Sure.
So, sure. It's an amazing story. This guy was awesome. Anyway, the point of this is, excuse me, I'm at the belief that every decade of baseball has had enhancement in one way, shape, or form. This has not been an angel sport. These guys were the ruffians of all time. Okay.
Oh, there's no question about that, Rich. Look, I mean, the steroid era of the 90s was not the only bad thing going on. I mean, you had cocaine in the 80s. You had guys in the 50s, 60s, and 70s using greenies. Before that, you had guys that were blatantly cheating. So, I mean, no, baseball has always been a sport where it's not always on the up and up, where there's guys that are well past the line of morality.
Bar none. Make it golf, make it hockey, make it football, make it baseball, make it tennis, make it what's that bike race in Europe? The Tour de France.
Yeah, the Tour de France, yeah.
I mean, everything is tainted because everybody wants an edge. And so you talked about Babe Ruth, you talked about all these guys. So if there was social media back then, these guys would have never, everybody would have an asterisk. That's all I got to say about that.
All right, brother.
I'll talk to you later, brother.
Appreciate it, man. There's some truth to that. Can you imagine if social media was around back in the era of Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, and, well, let's go further on, Mickey Mantle and Billy Martin and Whitey Ford? They would have been thrown into AA because they were hammered more times than not.
We there are a lot of times in history where you just say, imagine if there was social media at this point.
Sure.
Because we all see how opinionated people can get now on social media, but what about back in the day when stuff was really, like Vietnam War stuff was really,
oh, yeah.
I mean, you put social media in the late 60s, like 1968, then that's something that people don't really think about when they think that we've never been in a time that's been worse than this. It's like,
yes, we have.
You don't have to go too far in history to find very, very kind of split.
I think it was Sunday night. CNN did a special on the year 1968, and you think that 2020 is bad, and it is. Let's be honest. 2020 has been a crappy year, to which I said last night should have been New Year's Eve.
Right, we were going to have that, Ron.
Yeah, exactly.
What happened? This was supposed to be our New Year's Day celebration.
I have no idea.
You got the hula shirt.
I have no idea. I was hoping that this would be New Year's Day because this is the first day of the second half of 2020, and the first half was forgettable.
Right.
So last night should have been New Year's Eve.
We should have brought a grill. We could have been, cooking stuff. It could have been a whole celebration.
We're gonna blame DJ for that.
All right.
Yeah, because all that stuff should have been provided. Just should have been provided. This is New Year's Day. Because the first 6 months was garbage.
What's your New Year's resolution?
To hope and pray that we never see COVID again. Look, in all seriousness, everyone can sit back and go, oh my God, what a god-awful year. It's the worst year in the history of the world.
No.
1968 would like a conversation with you. 1968 is probably saying, hold my beer. Two really important people in the aspect of the 60s. One, for the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Robert Kennedy, who in all likelihood was going to be the next president of the United States, got assassinated in June in Los Angeles. You had the Vietnam War at its absolute height. You had the social rights of various marches and whatnot, and all hell was breaking loose in the South with segregation and whatnot. You had all kinds of protests from the hippies and those that felt that they were disenfranchised.
And then you had protests that were from the people that were against the hippies.
Yeah. You had counterculture, culture,
right?
The culture second cousin first removed, protests all over the place. Look, I understand, and we've gone through hell the first 6 months.
Take all that, and then the Cold War was still going on. There was still a huge fear of communism.
Absolutely.
So you take all that and then you slap on a big fear of we're about to be in nuclear war with the Russians.
Yeah.
So there were nuclear bomb tests all the time.
And we're always at war in Vietnam, in a war that everyone wasn't too thrilled with. 68 was a terrible year.
You know.
Now, we're halfway through 2020. I mean, what could make 2020 worse than 1968? Have a season without football. And right then and there, I'll just flat out say, okay, game over. 2020 wins. You win the Doofus Award. You're the worst year in the history of mankind, or at least in my lifetime.
You know, I think 1929 might have something to say about it too.
Yeah, the stock market crash.
39 when we've got back into another world war.
For us, it was 41.
Well, yeah, but the world.
Yeah.
I mean, they just got put through the ringer in World War I.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be the war that ended all wars, and all of a sudden, 20 years later, someone decides they're too big for their bridges and decides to start a second one, and then that's 6 more.
And look, I mean,
6 more years of devastation.
68 still has a little bit of a lead on 2020 for catastrophic events, but we're only halfway through this miserable,
there's a dust storm
god-awful
coming
year.
from Africa, so it might have some Egyptian ghosts.
Is that the July version of Jumanji?
Right.
Because we had the murder hornets in June.
Someone roll a 6.
Yeah. So now we got a dust storm coming out of Africa in July. You're gonna have my birthday on August. Well, that's maybe not be as lethal.
I just hope we never get those spiders from Jumanji, because that'll. I don't like spiders, and if they're that big, they're just
crawling around going. No thanks.
Those and the poison dart flowers are 2 things I never want to see.
Was this in the movie Jumanji?
The movie Jumanji, yeah.
God.
Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good. The new one's okay, but the old one with Robin Williams. Because Robin Williams is a comedic genius.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I have no question. And he also played a serious role. Pretty good. Good Will Hunting, he was phenomenal.
Yes, he was really good in that, and he was really good in Patch Adams. And that was kind of a mix. I mean, he was still a little bit zany, but he also had a lot of seriousness. I really like Patch Adams.
What was the other movie where he was the professor at an all-boys school? And when he got let go...
Oh, Captain, My Captain.
Yeah, the guys were
Dead
Poets Society, where at the end of the movie, everyone's standing on their desk, Captain, my Captain. Yeah, good stuff. All right, the movie segment of the show is over.
We always got to fit one in. We always got to fit one in.
We always got to fit one in. There you go. All right, we'll take a time out, back with more. Stick around. It's a Wednesday edition of Running Point.
They say American craftsmanship is making a comeback. Of course, at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, it never went away.
People are floored by Baird Brothers' authentic hardwood floors. They stare at our stairs and adore our doors. Baird Brothers reflects 3 generations of family craftsmanship. Visit our huge in-stock selection in person or at BairdBrothers.com.
Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plan still meets your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
I wonder when the election period is over with. Over at Myers Insurance. Yeah, I mean, we're hearing about the election period. I mean, is it about the same day that we get the election here, November 3rd? I don't know when that election
I'm
is.
not sure.
I don't know, but it's all hands on deck. I know that.
All hands on deck.
Yeah, all hands are on deck, man.
Like,
Let's say, hey, get your stuff together, or you're whatever. Champ, leave it to Champ to do some back research on the article.
Champ's like, we're gonna have to hire him pretty soon as our running point researcher. Because
Yeah.
he did a great the mascot segment. He did a great job on that one.
Catcher Pinch Thomas, and I'm sure Pinch was his real name.
I hope so.
And why is your name Pinch? No, we're not even going to get into that one. Pinch Thomas was also ejected. Ruth paid a $100 fine, was suspended for 10 games for assaulting an umpire, which 10 games for punching an umpire in the face. I'm thinking that's probably a little low, whatever. Also, Ernie Shore, who relieved Babe Ruth and retired the final 26 men in a row, he was also sold to the New York Yankees, along with Babe Ruth, because, well, let's be honest, the Red Sox owner wanted to put on a Broadway musical production, No Nanette, and it turned out to be a colossal failure, and Ruth later...
starting the curse.
Yeah, and Ruth later became the greatest baseball player known to man, so there you go.
Good trivia about Babe Ruth. He is the only player in baseball history, I believe, college or pro, that has 70 wins as a pitcher and 70-plus career home runs. So...
there you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, Madison Bumgarner is not anywhere near 70 home runs, although he does have a lot of home runs. Unfortunately, he's probably not going to swing a bat forever because we all know that after 2020...
put him in as a DH once a week.
I would like to see that. I'd like to see that. I happen to believe after the 2020 season, we're going to have the designated hitter, and whether I like it or not.
Wouldn't that be funny if National League teams were like, well, we're still going to play. We're still going to, we're just going to have our pitcher be our DH for a couple innings, then we'll pinch hit for him. So we're still going to play the way we're going to play. We'll just call it a DH instead.
Look,
because you can technically do that under the
of
rules,
course,
right? You can technically have your pitcher be your DH.
Of course, yeah, and I've seen in high school games or in Sandlot games, if a manager decides, okay, I'm going to put this guy in the lineup, and I'm going to scribble out his name, and then I'm going to put 1/DH. That means that once he is done pitching, he stays in the lineup as the designated hitter. So, and the next pitcher that comes into the game, obviously, he's getting DH'd for from the starting pitcher that was just taken out of the ballgame. Look, and I've said this a number of times, I truly believe Major League Baseball needs to have a meet-in-the-middle type of format when it comes to the DH. And my personal opinion is the starting pitcher should be able to be hitting ninth in the lineup, and when the starting pitcher is taken out of the ballgame, that's when the designated hitter comes in.
We were talking about this on the Power Hour yesterday, and DJ brought up a kind of cool idea, or maybe it was someone on the Power Hour, whether it was a caller or a DJ, brought up the idea of having a DH be universal, but not allowing the same DH to be the DH for 2 days in a row. So you have to switch up your DHs. Do you think that's a good idea? That way people can't just say all I do is hit no matter what, and that's all I have to focus on.
I'm good with that, but it's the spirit of the DH that I can't stand. I mean, you're not doing anything. All you're doing is swinging a bat. You're not playing in the field. And I know this is thinking that is out the window, and I'm in the very tiny, minuscule minority.
No, I don't think you. I think most of the National League fan bases are probably right with you because they've been so used to watching it the other way. I would argue that there are probably a lot of people with you, especially if you go to National League cities. If you poll like Philadelphia, there are probably going to be a lot of people that are probably siding with you.
Well, but again, when they see the designated hitter, most of those people are going to be like, let's keep the DH. This is so much better. Again, my favorite team is an American League team. I follow the Pirates, but they're not my favorite team. I prefer National League Baseball because I don't like the designated hitter. I don't like the fact that you're rewarding some guy who's not good enough to be on the field, and you're giving this person at bats. Okay, you're DHing for the pitcher. I get that. I think Major League Baseball should be able to have a happy medium where, and again, I'm saying this to prevent all kinds of throwing at guys and not getting a retribution. The starting pitcher should be able to be his own batter until at point when the starting pitcher's out of the game. Once the starting pitcher's out of the game, you have a designated hitter, and you can put the DH into that spot when the pitcher is gone. If you're doing a double switch, and you sit back and say, okay, pitcher's out of the ball game, and I got a left fielder that's going to be coming in. I'm going to have my pitcher hit in the 4 spot instead of the 9 spot, or whoever made the last out. You can have the DH coming in that particular spot if you wanted to have your DH in the middle of the lineup. If you want your DH to stay at number 9, personally, I think it's a great idea, because once you go through the lineup once, it doesn't matter where you're hitting. I mean, if you're leading off in a ball game, you're leading off because you're the guy that gets on base all the time, has a propensity to steal bags, and has plenty of speed. There's a reason why people are in the leadoff spot, 2 spot, 3 spot.
And the perception is if you're in the leadoff spot, you're going to get the most at bats.
Exactly. So, I mean, look, if you're in the bottom of the lineup and your starting pitcher leaves the game and you're in the bottom of the lineup and the DH is in the 9 spot, wow, what a great opportunity here if guys are on base and you got a really good hitter, because DHs are allegedly really good hitters. So you have a DH in the 9 spot with guys on base. Hey, that's not a bad thing. I just think that you can have a happy medium to still satisfy the purists of the game like myself and those that love the designated hitter. You can have a happy medium.
And another statement that was made on Power Hour yesterday that I was like, oh, this is a good point. In a sport like baseball that already has fewer superstars than the rest of the sports, because of marketing, because of whatever.
Absolutely.
It keeps people in the game longer.
Absolutely.
Because when they get older, they can just go to a DH.
Yeah.
David Ortiz probably wouldn't have a good career if he was in the National League.
Well,
and Barry Bonds probably would have a longer career if he was in the American League, and they could have put him in the DH.
Let's remember something. When the designated hitter came out in 1973, it was to be a 3-year experiment. And the main reason why they wanted the designated hitter was because Frank Robinson and Hank Aaron and some of the other legendary performers were moving over into the American League. And who doesn't want to see Hank Aaron hit? Mm-hmm. So he leaves Atlanta after the 73 season, finishes his career in 75 with Milwaukee, who was an American League team. Henry Aaron was DHing most of the time. So he was perfect for the DH. Frank Robinson, when he became the player manager of the Indians, he was DHing. He wasn't in the field. So when the DH came into play for the first 3 years, that was the reason why they wanted the superstar players, the Al Kalines, the Robinsons, the Aarons, and some of the other grizzled veterans that weren't good enough to be in the field, but they still wanted their bat in the lineup. That's why the AL went with the DH. And after 3 years, the American League owners loved the idea, and that's why they kept it going.
And it's funny because, like, when we think of the most exciting kind of hitters that we've seen in the recent memory, we talked about Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds. Obviously, none of them were DHs because they were in the National League. Miguel Cabrera won the Triple Crown, but he only DH'd maybe once a series. He played a lot of first base back in that day.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's good, but sometimes that DH player isn't exactly the superstar of the league.
No, but his bat's good enough, and you have to have that bat in the lineup.
Yes.
I mean, Edgar Martinez and David Ortiz.
Yeah, David Ortiz is the exception because he was the guy that everyone wanted to watch, and he was a DH most of the time.
Yeah, because Ortiz was horrible in the field. You couldn't put him anywhere. He was a statue at first base. You couldn't put him in left field because he wouldn't have worked out well. He was a big boy.
They call him Big Papi.
Yeah, there's a reason why they called him that. So it's Ortiz and Martinez were two of the best DHs. Now, Edgar Martinez was a below-average third baseman toward the end of his career, and that's why he became the designated hitter. But, both of those guys are probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe not Ortiz because of his alleged involvement with steroids. Who knows?
Never proven.
Yeah, exactly. And he might have been one of those guys that got swallowed up into the witch hunt that was the steroids. So you never know.
I'll give him a pass because he did a lot for Boston, and he's also in one of the funnier Sports Center commercials in the gamut with the trying on the Yankees hat.
Oh yeah,
and then hey Wale, oh Wale, oh is that what you think?
Well, the other thing is he does a fantastic job as a commentator.
Yes, he's really good.
Yeah, he and Burkhardt and Alex Rodriguez work extremely well together, whether it be on Whip Around or the Fox pre- and post-game show coverage. They do a fantastic job.
It's funny watching him and A-Rod, next to each other because obviously it's the Red Sox Yankees, and they get their subtle jabs at each other every now and then.
Oh yeah. We're going to take a final timeout. Be back to wrap this bad boy up. It's Wednesday edition of Running Point, YSNLive.com.
Hey, my Ohio friends, it's Mike Ditka, and I know great talent and heart when I see it. I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are average real estate agents, then there are true champions. Kelly Warren is one of those champions, and you have her right there in your own backyard. Kelly outmarkets and outsells every agent in the Mahoning Valley. If Kelly can't sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, Kelly will buy it. Get your home sold. Call Kelly Warren today at 717-2689 or go online to kellysoda.com and start packing.
You can feel it. Baird Brothers' traditional craftsmanship. You can see it. Baird Brothers' timeless style. And you can afford it. And find everything at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is real hardwood, yet beautifully affordable. Floors, moldings, interior doors, bar rails, and stair parts. All within your means and without a care. Start at BairdBrothers.com. You have made it. Your home.
Teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Points on YSNLive.com. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig. No show on Friday. We got to get a jump on the 4th of July festivities.
You just want to get all your fireworks and food and alcohol consumption started a little bit before Saturday, don't you?
Well, I do have 3 games to umpire on Saturday, so that's...
Oh, so you're just celebrating the 4th one day early. That's what you're doing.
Well, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And you're going to be...
I'll be in Kansas City.
Yeah.
We always go down there for the 4th, so tomorrow the long trek. We're going to drive. We're going to leave at 5 in the morning, and we drive about 12 and a half, 13 hours to Kansas City. So.
Okay, now, are you hitting the Negro League Museum?
I don't know if it's open right now, but I've been there before, and I know this is the 100th year anniversary, so they're probably doing something special for it. So I'll have to look into that. Kansas City, I think yesterday, the metro area, the mayor came out and said masks are mandatory for any public gathering in the Kansas City metro area. So... We'll see. We'll see what the state of everything is and what's open. And I love going down to the plaza. That's a great place to be in Kansas City. So we'll see what we do.
And you're going to be back not on Monday, the next Monday.
The next Monday, yep.
Yeah, with barbecue sauce.
With barbecue sauce, and hopefully I'm going to call in on Wednesday and give you another golf pick so you can go in. Unless a decade doesn't do well, then I'll just.
Oh no, you're going to call in either way because if Matsuyama happens to win, I owe you 15% rate of whatever
I thought we
money
said
I
20.
get.
Wait a minute.
Whatever. It's whatever. And it just depends on how much shekels I put down on Matsuyama. I still think Terrell Hatton has a really good shot.
He does
at this too.
I think Ricky Fowler has a really good shot too.
Yeah, well, I mean, Brian has Patrick Reed. You have Matsuyama. And I have Hatton. So no show on Friday. We do invite everyone to listen in on ysnlive.com. Wall-to-wall Sandlot baseball from Bob Scene Park. I mean, there is going to be
9 a.m.
All kinds of games are going to be played on Friday beginning at 9 a.m. So the spotlight will be turned toward the Sandlot baseball on Friday morning beginning at 9 a.m. So we will talk to you on Monday, but make sure on Friday you are listening to baseball and watching baseball on ysnlive.com. Should be an awful lot of fun.
And the weather's going to be amazing this weekend. So.
Yeah, it should be an awful lot of a lot of sunshine, a lot of hot weather, and you're going to be.
And I'll be in hot and humidity.
Yeah, you're going to be in really hot, humid weather.
It's mid-90s all week, and in Kansas City the humidity is probably going to be up to 100%. So.
And the beautiful thing is when you come back, you will be loaded with barbecue sauce from one of your favorite joints in Kansas City.
Gates, you gotta hit Gates.
All right, Gates Barbecue, and I am
mild and hot.
I'm getting 2 bottles of barbecue sauce. I'm getting mild barbecue sauce, and I'm getting hot barbecue sauce.
Yep.
So when I get my wings or I get ribs or something like that, I'm gonna slather on some both barbecue sauces. Depending on whether or not I'm in a spicy mood. So
you feeling spicy?
Well, I'm feeling spicy. I'm gonna put a little pinky test and put it on the mouth. And if it destroys my mouth, I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah,
it's a little hot. It's a little hot.
It's a little hot here, a little hot. Get the ice cubes out and everything. So there you go. Safe trip to Kansas City, brother.
Thank you, and that's a great way to end the show.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we're out of here. Happy 4th, everyone. We'll catch you on Monday again Friday. Lots of baseball on ysnlive.com. Tune in beginning at 9 a.m. for wall-to-wall baseball. We'll talk Monday. Running Point on YSN Live.